Chapter 108. The Kanagawa High School's English teacher, Aona Koizumi's blanket moved slightly and Toru Watanabe poked his head out. He remained motionless and listened attentively. The other three girls were breathing evenly. It seemed that no one had been woken up by his movements. Toru Watanabe's eyes were already used to the darkness. He scanned the other two blankets and easily found Rin Kiyono's bed. She leaned to the right and a few strands of hair ran to her nose and mouth. She was so beautiful that even the moonlight outside the window seemed to be shining on her. Between the gaps of her black hair, he could faintly see her closed eyes. Toru Watanabe retracted his blanket and looked down at Aona Koizumi. The shock on her face had not completely disappeared. In order not to wake the others, Toru Watanabe bent down and whispered in her ear, "Teacher, please. If Miki finds out, I'll be dead." Aona Koizumi came back to her senses and was about to speak when she suddenly felt the weight on her body and the moisture by her ear. "Get off," she reprimanded in a low voice with a red face. "Ah, sorry." Toru Watanabe rolled off Aona Koizumi's body. The quilt flipped over, revealing a large area. Koizumi Aonai subconsciously pulled it back and covered the two of them again. "Watanabe, tell me the truth." "Okay." Aona Koizumi turned her face and just as she opened her mouth, she saw Toru Watanabe's head resting on her pillow. Because the blanket was very small, his handsome face was only 5 centimeters away from her. She couldn't control her blush and her heartbeat. The air in the blanket suddenly became stuffy and hot, and she wanted to poke her head out to get some fresh air. Toru Watanabe vaguely noticed Aona Koizumi's strange behavior and thought that she was angry. He grabbed Aona Koizumi's hand. "Teacher, you can scold me however you want. Please keep this a secret for me. I beg you." She felt the heat on her face and her hand was completely wrapped. Do boys have such big hands? He's only 15 years old. Aona Koizumi's legs couldn't help but move uneasily. She touched Toru Watanabe's leg. She immediately moved back as if she had been electrocuted. She blushed and only spoke after a long time. "Watanabe, let go of teacher first." "Watanabe." Aona Koizumi's voice was hoarse and her voice was a little breathless. Toru Watanabe realized that something was wrong. Although he had no experience, he had seen Miki Kujio and Mayasami's passionate look. Coupled with his learning ability that was far beyond ordinary people, he immediately guessed Koizumi Aonai's general state. Toru Watanabe didn't let go. Instead, he took it a step further. He let go of Aona Koizumi's hands and hugged her body like a spoiled child, burying his face in her collarbone. "If teacher doesn't promise me, I won't let go." "Do, Watanabe. Be good. Promise me." Toru Watanabe didn't care if his tone sounded disgusting or not. It wasn't like he had never pretended to be a child when he was young. In terms of acting skills, no one was better than him. Sometimes, he forgot his actual age, but he didn't mind at all. Aona Koizumi wanted to push away Toru Watanabe, who was like a child in her arms, but she didn't have the strength. She was also worried that she would wake the others. "Let go first," she said softly. "No." Toru Watanabe clamped her waist with his legs, like a koala hugging a tree. "Teacher, I only have one request." "Please, okay." Aona Koizumi put her hand on Toru Watanabe's shoulder so that their bodies wouldn't get too close. But even so, they couldn't avoid some contact. The peak of the mountain was flattened. She pushed him away weakly. She really had no choice. "Watanabe, let go of teacher first. Let's talk outside, okay?" Toru Watanabe would be stupid to believe her. Aona Koizumi taught him from time to time that he had to be loyal. He couldn't rely on his good looks to hook up with girls. He buried his face in her arms and pretended to be angry. He deliberately raised his voice and said in a muffled voice, "If teacher doesn't agree, I won't leave tonight." "Shoo, lower your voice." Toru Watanabe's hot breath passed through Aona Koizumi's short-sleeved pajamas and hit her body. Aona Koizumi's body trembled and finally surrendered. She said in a muffled voice, "Okay, teacher promises you." "Really? Really? You're not lying to me?" Toru Watanabe raised his face from her arms and looked at her. I'm not lying to you. Aona Koizumi raised her head with all her might to avoid looking at him face to face. I believe that teacher will never lie to her students. After a moral blackmail, Toru Watanabe let go of his arms and legs. He stuck his head out and after confirming that the other three's breathing was normal, he quietly left the bed, took his slippers, and climbed out of the door. Aona Koizumi also stuck her head out. Her face was red as she breathed heavily. Her chest rose and fell, and she felt as if there was a wet patch there. When the cold air lowered her body temperature and cleared her mind, she carefully got up and walked out of the door. As soon as she stood up, she saw Toru Watanabe holding his slippers and crawling on the ground. She felt that the scene was very funny and her anger subsided a little. She touched her collar and confirmed that it wasn't really wet before slowly walking out. When they came out of the room, the two tacitly walked towards the flat ground in front of the school. When they passed by the vending machine surrounded by moths, Toru Watanabe bought himself a bottle of cola to replenish his sugar and a bottle of purified water for Aona Koizumi. The moon always seemed bigger when seen from flat ground, and Toru Watanabe could clearly see the ground 5 meters away. The two sat down on a wooden bench. The cola was cold and the aluminum can was quickly covered with water droplets. Toru Watanabe pulled the tab and took a big gulp. Aona Koizumi watched him drink and also took small sips of water. Watanabe. She stopped drinking first. Yes. Toru Watanabe responded like a student who was called to the office because he made a mistake. When you weren't dating Kujo-san, the teacher told you many times to be loyal. Why did you still do this? Aona Koizumi got angrier as she spoke. Because I couldn't control myself. Toru Watanabe looked at the cola in his hand. Couldn't control. Aona Koizumi's tone suddenly slowed down and she helplessly sighed. Kiyono-san is very beautiful. If you take the initiative to approach her, boys will have a hard time controlling themselves. Right. Toru Watanabe instantly became self-righteous. Right. Right your head. Aona Koizumi put the cold bottle on Toru Watanabe's neck. It's so cold. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but shrink his neck back. Aona Koizumi took back the bottle and asked, Kujo-san can't compare to Kiyono-san? This is not a question of whether or not she can't compare. Then what is the question? It's. Toru Watanabe touched the water stain on his neck. What is it? Teacher, you're an adult. You should know that boys are creatures of desire, right? Aona Koizumi blushed. Who knows that? Toru Watanabe looked over. Teacher, have you never had a boyfriend? No. Are you kidding me? Teacher, you're so beautiful. How can you not have one? I'm talking about you. Sorry. Toru Watanabe put away his surprised expression and lowered his head, thinking about how to find an excuse for his behavior. After a moment of silence, he said, Teacher, you should often see gossip about political figures or celebrities, right? For example, the weekly one-chun that made 2 prime ministers step down. What are you trying to say? Teacher, I'm really sorry to disappoint you. I'm not a gentleman. Aona Koizumi rubbed the uneven teeth of the bottle cap with her fingertips. When did you and Kiyono-san start? After the final exams, school was still in session. One day, after the music club's practice, I met her at the convenience store and went to her apartment. Went to her apartment. Aona Koizumi looked at Toru Watanabe. What did you do? I didn't do anything that time. Really? I just took a look. Aona Koizumi was silent. She didn't ask what Toru Watanabe looked at. After a while, she asked again, and then? The second time was on the day of the summer break, July 21st. Aona Koizumi resisted the urge to interrupt him. She wasn't asking how many times they did it. Toru Watanabe continued to talk nonsense. That day was also at night. She used her legs to seduce me. I couldn't hold back, so I made a move on her. Toru Watanabe couldn't tell what Aona Koizumi was thinking. He said, Teacher, You promised me that you wouldn't tell Kujo about this. You can't go back on your word. Don't worry, I won't say anything, Aona Koizumi replied with a headache. What should we do next? Have you always been two-timing? Of course not. Toru Watanabe answered immediately. Then what do you plan to do? I need some time. I want to figure out who I like. And then you've been dating both of them all this time? Toru Watanabe was silent. Aona Koizumi took his silence as a tacit agreement. She looked at the bright moon above her head. In the end, her heart softened and she sighed helplessly. Since it has already happened, I hope you can deal with it properly. Don't do this kind of thing again in the future. Okay. Watanabe, you're very outstanding and handsome. Now and in the future, most girls will have a good impression of you. A few will even take the initiative to approach you. It's not illegal to date many girls, but I still hope you can be a loyal person. Thank you for your guidance, teacher. I understand. Aona Koizumi looked at Toru Watanabe, who had his head lowered, and felt even more sorry. At least when you have a girlfriend, don't flirt with other girls. Okay, teacher, don't worry. Other than them, I won't date other girls. Toru Watanabe looked up and promised firmly. When Aona Koizumi heard his words, she couldn't help but put the bottom of the bottle against his forehead and pushed him back angrily. Toru Watanabe covered his forehead and smiled mischievously. Don't do things like running to the girls' dormitory in the middle of the night in the future. Aona Koizumi warned. Don't worry. Absolutely not. Fortunately, it's me this time. Suda-san may also be charmed by you, but if my Asahi finds out, let's see what you'll do. She won't care about your appearance. Well, that makes sense. Aona Koizumi suddenly lowered her voice and asked hesitantly, What did you do with Kiyono just now? I had time to do anything. Really? Teacher, you also saw it. Kiyono, no Ling. Toru Watanabe let his tongue get used to this name. Isn't she asleep? Aona Koizumi recalled the scene in the bed just now and couldn't help but hit Toru Watanabe's head with the bottle. Teacher. It's okay, I'll go back first. You should rest early. Okay. After watching Aona Koizumi disappear in the corridor, Tetsumesa Watanabe wanted to drink the cola in one breath, but his body subconsciously bent down. With a paw sound, he killed a mosquito on his leg. The mosquito's body in his palm was surrounded by blood. It seemed that the mosquito had been sucking for a long time when he wasn't paying attention. Unfortunately, it was all in vain. The next morning, Aona Koizumi was the first to wake up and was ready to carefully observe the expressions of the 3 female students in the dormitory. My Asahi was the first to wake up and stretched comfortably. Tomorrow, good morning. Good morning, teacher. Did you sleep well last night? Aona Koizumi stared at my Asahi's face. Her eyes were as clear as ever. Yeah. After a few seconds, my Asahi added, very comfortable. That's good. Aona Koizumi breathed a sigh of relief. We're going back today. Remember to pack your things and don't leave anything behind. Okay. The second to wake up was another third-year student, Suda Rika. She was no different from yesterday morning. She took a hairdryer, splints, toiletries, and hummed the melody of Prosperous Four Seasons as she went to the bathroom to take a shower. It seemed that she didn't wake up last night. Aona Koizumi was completely relieved. In addition to worrying that Toru Watanabe's matter would be discovered, she was also afraid that someone would see him coming out of her bed. Rin Kiyono was not used to an unfamiliar environment. For the past 2 days, she had been sleeping very late and was the last person to wake up in the dormitory. Now it seemed that it was very likely that it was just an excuse. Perhaps she had been forcing herself not to sleep and waiting for Toru Watanabe to come. Aona Koizumi specially went to wash up and have breakfast with her. Rin Kiyono didn't seem to be surprised that Toru Watanabe didn't show up last night. She didn't seem to be the least bit abnormal. Children nowadays are really scary, Aona Koizumi couldn't help but think. Kiyono. In the end, she couldn't help but speak up. What's the matter, Koizumi-sensei? Rin Kiyono noticed that Aona Koizumi had been looking at her from the beginning. Koizumi Aonai hesitated. She changed the question. What you wrote on the Enrollment and Employment Guidance Questionnaire, is it all true? Yes. Rin Kiyono nodded. Sensei, I know that you have a preference for Watanabe, but he is indeed a pervert who likes legs. Did he do anything to you that went too far? Rin Kiyono was silent for a moment, then said, I'm also part of the reason. It's not all his fault. What did he do? Rin Kiyono lifted her long hair and turned her gradually reddening face to the side. No need to answer, I already know everything. Aona Koizumi sighed in her heart. Kiyono. Sensei, I'm going to the concert hall. Before I go back, I still have one last practice. Aona Koizumi called out to her, Kiyono, although Watanabe is a pervert, he doesn't treat everyone like that. You must be special to him. Sensei, what are you talking about? I'm at most friends with that guy who is full of lies and talks nonsense all day long. Rin Kiyono's face was completely red. Is that really all? Aona Koizumi looked at her small red ears in her black hair. Of course. And that night during the holidays, something happened that made me very unhappy. I still haven't forgiven him. That night during the holidays. Aona Koizumi couldn't help but look at Rin Kiyono's legs. They were indeed beautiful to the point that other girls couldn't help but be envious. I'll go first, Sensei. Please enjoy your meal. Okay, go ahead. After Aona Koizumi finished her breakfast and went to the concert hall, she just happened to see Rin Kiyono throwing a tantrum at Toru Watanabe. Watanabe, are you watching the conductor? Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you're good at bragging? Look at me. Watanabe, I'm distracted, let's do it again. Watanabe, your voice is very rich and beautiful, but can't you be a little louder? Did you not eat breakfast? Or did you not sleep last night? Who did you use your phone to press 555? Who did you fight with? Is this what it means to be unsatisfied? Aona Koizumi couldn't help but think of her good friends Miyazaki Miyuki and Aoko, who often muttered a phrase in private. Chapter 109. On the afternoon of the third day of training, the ensemble ended. Training ends here. After today, you can all go home. Yes. Rin Kiyono looked around and fixed her eyes on Toru Watanabe, whose eyelids kept falling. Tomorrow, we'll continue with the high-intensity training, so it's best if you stay at home and rest. There are only 5 days left until the Tokyo University tournament. Don't fall asleep during training. Yes. Watanabe-san? There's a reason why I kept dozing off today. Toru Watanabe lifted his foot. Yesterday, a mosquito kept buzzing, so I... Before he could finish, Rin Kiyono looked away. Dismissed. Toru Watanabe forgot that this woman could see through his lies. NPCs have more powerful skills than players. I must be mistaken, Toru Watanabe complained in his mind. He pulled himself together and began to pack up the music stand and chairs. After moving the instruments and packing their luggage, the music department took the school bus back to Shinjuku, ending the 3 days and 2 nights of training. Toru Watanabe, who went to bed late and woke up early every day, was fine even if he insisted on exercising. However, after going to the girls' dormitory and crawling on the ground for a while, he felt exhausted when he got home. Toru Watanabe took off his shoes, walked into the hallway, turned on the air conditioner, and sat down on the ground. He let out a satisfied groan. The 2 goldfish that he fished up during the summer festival were already dead, their bloated bellies facing up. Toru Watanabe stared at them for a while, then slowly took out his phone and took a picture. He sent it to Miki Kujo. Passed away. Got it. 5 days passed quickly, and soon it was the afternoon of the day before the Tokyo University tournament. In order to prepare for tomorrow's tournament, the training ended in the afternoon. Toru Watanabe returned to his rented apartment and received a package from his hometown. It was a duck. The ducks were raised by his father in the rice paddies. Originally, he wanted to wait for him to come back and kill them to eat. However, because of the matter with the trumpet club, he stayed in Tokyo for the entire summer vacation. The ducks that eat weeds and pests have all been killed. That means it's almost time to harvest the rice, Toru Watanabe muttered to himself as he stared at the tied-up ducks. In the blink of an eye, he had a headache. Killing a duck from scratch was a very tedious task. He had to bleed it, pluck its feathers, and so on. However, it was unrealistic to raise ducks or sell them. After thinking for a while, Toru Watanabe took out his phone. "What's the matter?" Miki Kujo's voice sounded. "My hometown sent me a duck. Do you want to come over for dinner tonight?" With a guest, the host had the motivation to work in the kitchen. Duck. Miki Kujo was stunned for a moment. Why would you send something like that? Where is it not? Ricefield duck is a rare sight for the average Tokyo citizen, right? Are you coming or not? Do you want me to go to your place so badly? Miki Kujo's tone was contemptuous and flirtatious. Hey, don't think about it that way. I don't want to deal with the duck at all. I'll only have the motivation to cook if you come over for dinner. Is that so? Of course. If there's no guest, who would bother to kill a duck? I definitely don't have the dirty thought of, if my girlfriend agrees to come over for dinner, then I can do that kind of thing. Miki Kujo's laughter on the other side of the phone showed that she didn't believe Toru Watanabe's words at all. What a headache. If it was Rin Kiyono, she would definitely know that Toru Watanabe was a hospitable host who didn't have dirty thoughts. Okay, 8 o'clock, I'll come over. Wash it clean. Wash it clean? Miki, I'm not a scumbag whose brain is filled with lust, I'm talking about the duck. Oh. The phone call ended with Miki Kujo's laughter. She seemed to be in a good mood. Could it be that she recently closed a few more deals and made a few $100 million USD? Toru Watanabe thought about the Eagle agent who gave him a Lamborghini when they first met. It was hard to imagine the life of a rich person. Since Miki Kujo agreed to come over for dinner, Toru Watanabe didn't want to slack off. He boiled water and prepared to kill the duck. He didn't know how to cook, so he prepared to cook the duck soup and hot pot. He asked his mom for the steps to cook the soup. He put the duck in the pot and went out to buy other ingredients. It was the afternoon of August 24th, and it was very hot outside. The asphalt road and the roofs of the residential area shone under the sun. The few pedestrians on the road tried their best to stay in the shade. Toru Watanabe finally walked into the mall. He let out a long sigh. His body was already sticky with sweat. He stood at the air conditioner for a while and walked around the vegetable section of the mall. There was a plate of high-quality Wagyu beef, shiitake mushrooms, green onions, chrysanthemum flower, baby cabbage, enoki mushrooms, chrysanthemum flower. There were many kinds of dishes, but the quantity was small. Toru Watanabe remembered that Miki Kujo liked to eat salmon, so he took the most expensive plate of salmon. Finally, he took a bottle of orange juice, paid the bill, and went back to his rented apartment. In this kind of weather, he really didn't want to cook, let alone kill the duck. He took a shower and changed his clothes. He didn't know the time, so he started to wash the rice, cook the rice, and prepare the dishes. After dark, before Miki Kujo came, he went to the store to buy a camping stove. He placed the gas stove on the round low table and placed the duck soup pot that he had been cooking for the entire afternoon on top of it. The round table was filled with other dishes. He raised his phone, took a picture, and sent it to his mom and Miki Kujo. Toru Watanabe turned on the TV, drank orange juice, and watched a NHK documentary about the bad weather in the northernmost part of Hokkaido. While waiting for Miki Kujo, the pot made gurgling sounds, and the smell of the pot filled the entire rental apartment. Miki Kujo knocked on the door at 8 o'clock sharp. "You're finally here. I'm starving." Toru Watanabe opened the door. Miki Kujo was wearing a simple short-sleeved shirt, and the hem was tucked into her skirt, showing off her graceful waist. She sat down at the short table and glanced at the dishes on the table. "I didn't eat anything after you called me. If it's not good and you disappoint me, I'll punish you by dancing. Smell it. Toru Watanabe gestured to the hot pot. Miki Kujo sniffed with her delicate nose. It's just sozo. Smell it carefully. Miki Kujo sniffed again. Don't you feel that the rice duck is special? It doesn't matter if it's a duck or not. It's full of my love, Toru Watanabe said. Miki Kujo glanced at Toru Watanabe and picked up the glass he had prepared for her. Pour me a drink, and put some ice in it. Didn't my love get through? Miki Kujo tapped the base of the glass on the table, indicating that he should stop talking nonsense. Toru Watanabe was also hungry, so he didn't waste any more time. He poured her a drink, put in ice, and then placed the ingredients in the snow-white soup. After everything was ready, the two of them started with the dishes that were easy to cook. Toru Watanabe put a piece of duck meat in her bowl and looked at her expectantly. Try it. Miki Kujo didn't eat it immediately. She first put the duck skin in Toru Watanabe's bowl, and then took a bite of the duck meat. How is it? Toru Watanabe asked. Miki Kujo nodded indifferently. Toru Watanabe was already very satisfied with such an evaluation. He felt that working all afternoon was worth it. He threw the duck's skin into his mouth. Jujo Miyoshi picked up a piece of cooked Wagyu beef and nodded, feeling that it was good. She ate some vegetables and asked Toru Watanabe to give her a bowl of rice. Have you been busy recently? Toru Watanabe put a piece of tofu soaked in soup into his mouth. There are a few projects. I'm not very busy, but I don't have much time. Are you going to watch my competition tomorrow? It's boring to watch the Tokyo University competition. Let's wait until the national competition. You have a lot of confidence in me. I believe in Rin Kiyono's ability. Miki Kujo rolled her eyes at Toru Watanabe. She put the food in her mouth with her chopsticks, but she was scalded by the potato. She frowned and stuck out her little red tongue slightly. Toru Watanabe looked up and saw Miki Kujo's appearance. He couldn't help but laugh out loud. Miki Kujo's face was cold as she poured the potato into his bowl. The two of them chatted as they ate. The hot pot was bubbling, and the steam filled the air between them. After eating the hot pot, Toru Watanabe leaned against the wall, drank the remaining orange juice, and watched an unfinished documentary. Miki Kujo was full. She laid her head on his lap and closed her eyes to digest the food. A few strands of black hair fell on her face. Toru Watanabe used his index finger to gently tuck the hair behind her ear. Miki Kujo reached out her hand and gently held Toru Watanabe's hand that was brushing across her face. Her hand was very soft and thin. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but gently knead it. The hot temperature passed through her skin. Miki Kujo felt very comfortable, as if she was being massaged. She quietly closed her eyes and looked even more languid. The air conditioner was blowing cold air. There were leftovers on the table, and there were occasional dog barks outside the room. On the day of the Tokyo University competition, Toru Watanabe came to the music room early as usual. In the past, the only person who came earlier than him was Mayasahi. Today, there were 3 more people, and everyone was practicing seriously. When Seigo Rin arrived, the piano department practiced the song from beginning to end a few more times. Before they started to move the instruments, Rin Kiyono said, "Do you still remember our goal? The national competition gold medal." "That's right, so don't be nervous about the Tokyo University competition. Wait until the national competition to be nervous." The music department laughed, and the hands that were holding the instruments quietly relaxed. When the laughter stopped, Rin Kiyono said again, "If you are really nervous, you can look at the music score in your hands." Everyone's music score was tattered and full of notes. "Okay, let's go." "Yes." The Tokyo University competition was held in an international conference hall in Bunkyo, Tokyo. The Shinjuku district where Kamigawa was located and the Bunkyo district where the competition was held were close to each other. This was also the reason why they had enough time to practice in the morning. "Hey, if we make it to the national competition, do you think we'll have to go to Nagoya a day earlier?" a boy asked on the bus. Maybe, a girl answered. I really want to go to Tensho Tower. If I want to go to Nagoya University, my goal is to go to the Faculty of Law. Tamamo, where do you want to go? A boy asked. Yoshimi Tamamo was much calmer than last time. Perhaps it was because she had taken the most notes on the music score. She looked up and thought carefully. She was very attractive to the boys. I want to go to Yamasaki River to see the cherry blossoms. I heard that there are hundreds of cherry blossoms on the 1-kilometer walkway there. Are you an idiot? Toru Watanabe couldn't help but say, the national competition is in November. Where are the cherry blossoms for you to see? Do you think you're Haruai Suzumiya? Who's Haruai Suzumiya? Is he prettier than me? Was that the point of focus? What an idiot. After getting off the bus, they were greeted by the fierce sunlight and heat waves. Everyone in their long-sleeved uniforms was already sweating before they even entered the venue. There was already a sea of people in the venue. Students in all kinds of uniforms were running around. Yoshimi Tamamo and the others stayed in a corner. Every time they saw a team from a strong school, their nervousness would increase. In their eyes, even the words and actions of the strong school seemed to be different from the rest. The neat uniforms exuded an intimidating aura. There were even radio interviews. What do we do? My hands are shaking. I can't even remember the melody. It's over, it's over. What was the first note? Don't talk about it. I've almost forgotten it too because of you. Just as they were walking around restlessly, there was a sudden commotion at the entrance of the venue. There were even the suppressed screams of young girls. The people in the music department looked over and saw the boys of the Kamikawa High School band walking in with a bottle of soda in each hand. They were sweating profusely. Toru Watanabe pulled at the collar of his suit as if he couldn't stand the heat. His sleeves were rolled up because he was carrying instruments, and his well-proportioned and strong arms were exposed. That guy is so handsome. Could he be an artist? No way. Look at him wearing a school uniform. Which school's uniform is that? I'm so jealous. I think it's Kamigawa. Hey, isn't that a private high school famous for its promotion? I've never seen them in competitions before. The girls in the music department were proud of Toru Watanabe for the first time in their history. Only Yoshimi Tamamo clicked her tongue. The screams were not over. When Rin Kiyono, who had gone to change her clothes, walked in, the venue became noisy again. That girl is so handsome. Look at her clothes. Is she a consultant? You must be kidding. She's too young. I think she's from Kamigawa too. Ah, such a handsome classmate and a consultant. Why aren't they in our school? One would be good too. The students from the music department from all over Kanto were talking about it without any scruples. Not only that, the TV stations wanted to smell the blood and immediately surrounded them. When Toru Watanabe walked to Rin Kiyono's side and was about to tease her, the two of them were surrounded by reporters. Hello, may I ask which school you are from? Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. She crossed her arms and didn't intend to speak. Kanagawa High School. Toru Watanabe had to take the initiative to speak. The cameras immediately aimed at him. Classmate, may I ask what your name is? What instrument are you in charge of? My name is Toru Watanabe. I'm in charge of the oboe. May I ask what your goal is? To become the Prime Minister of Japan and lead Japan to become an independent country. Toru Watanabe said with confidence. Not to mention Rin Kiyono, who could see through lies, the people who could hear his voice didn't believe him. Classmate, I'm asking about your goal in this competition. The reporter reminded him. Another reporter continued to ask, Watanabe classmate, may I ask how you're going to become the Prime Minister? What are you going to do? Toru Watanabe ignored the serious reporter and said to the reporter who looked promising, I'm going to participate in various competitions in high school to increase my popularity. This orchestra competition is one of them. I'm still practicing baseball to enter Koshien next year. Of course, that's not enough. Toru Watanabe continued, my grades are third in the school. If nothing unexpected happens, I'll get a recommendation to Tokyo University. For real? Of course. Toru Watanabe had the style of a politician. Although I can't disclose the details, my girlfriend is powerful and influential. Even my classmates, the one next to me, is also famous. Shut up. Rin Kiyono rubbed her eyebrows. Yes. The future Prime Minister Toru Watanabe chose to temporarily surrender. Chapter 110. Sorry, we still have some work to do. After saying that to the reporters, Rin Kiyono gave Toru Watanabe a look that said, "Follow me." Then she walked toward the group of students. Watanabe-san. Toru Watanabe had only taken 2 steps when a reporter suddenly called out to him. I was just joking. Please don't take it seriously. He turned around and explained, actually, my goal is to become an idol like Takuya Kimura, or like the writer Watanabe Junichi, who writes about both sexes, Toru Watanabe. Rin Kiyono called him by his full name. Toru Watanabe could only give the reporter an apologetic look and quickly walked over. The reporter was speechless. He only wanted to ask about Kanagawa High School's goal for this competition. Do you like to talk nonsense that much? Rin Kiyono said in annoyance. What's wrong with that? I'm just trying to liven up the atmosphere. You see, everyone is very nervous. You can only perform to your best if you relax a little. Rin Kiyono glanced at him. You're trying to liven up the atmosphere of the reporters and the other schools? It's over. We've helped the enemy. But forget it. We can only perform to our best when we're more nervous. Now that I think about it, we've already won. Rin Kiyono sighed with a headache. She had nothing to say to him. The two of them walked to the front of the group. She looked at everyone who was so nervous that their faces were ashen. Don't worry about those strong schools. Everyone, stay calm. We just have to do our best to perform our own music. We'll leave the results to the judges. Yes. Of course, simple words couldn't ease the heavy atmosphere. Tetsumasa Watanabe was about to open his mouth and make a few jokes when he heard someone call his name. Watanabe. The voice sounded familiar. It didn't seem to be a reporter. Toru Watanabe looked in the direction of the voice and smiled. Look, isn't that Lady Ling? The girl who ran over was Ayako Homa, Toru Watanabe's classmate from high school in Fujisawa, Kanagawa Prefecture. Her short bob hair set off her small round face very cute, and her appearance looked very much like the short-haired female lead in The Bottom Spice. Ayako Homa, who was holding the piccolo, pounded his chest with all her might. Why are you here? She asked with a smile. I'm participating in the competition. What else can I do? You. Ayako Homa had a look of doubt on her face. With your ability to play the flute and wake up the entire village, how can you participate in the competition? You rascal, you're really lacking in manners. How can it be as exaggerated as the entire village? Hanma Ayako raised her head with an expression that said, I'm just like this. What can you do about it? Aha. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono, who cleared her throat, and introduced her to the two of them. This is my senior from the same village, Ayako Homa. This is my high school friend, Rin Kiyono. Hello. Ayako Homa smiled and greeted her. Hanma-senpai, hello. Don't use honorifics. Just call me Ling, like Watanabe. After that, Ayako Homa looked at Toru Watanabe. This is your girlfriend? That's right, she's my girl. Oh. Rin Kiyono retracted her cold gaze and said to Ayako Homa, No, we're just friends. I wanted to say, female friend. Toru Watanabe spoke his grievances. Rin Kiyono glanced at him emotionlessly. Then please speak more concisely. Also, when others say girlfriend, please don't give a definite answer. To liven up the atmosphere, I've already applied to you, right? No. Ha. Toru Watanabe tried to recall, but he really didn't. I thought you could read my eyes and understand my application without speaking. The only ones who understand you are the female apes who haven't developed their brains. Ayako Homa looked at Rin Kiyono in confusion. It was the first time she saw such a fierce girl. Tokyo was indeed worthy of its name. There were all kinds of people. Toru Watanabe noticed her expression. Although Rin Kiyono didn't care about other people's opinions, he still took the initiative to explain, "Kiyono likes to be sarcastic, don't take it to heart." "No, I only like to be like this to Watanabe classmate," Rin Kiyono said with a smile as she crossed her arms. "Why?" "Because you're special." Toru Watanabe suddenly became happy. Rin Kiyono never lied, which meant that he was indeed a special existence. "What's special?" he asked expectantly. "She doesn't like me." Expecting Rin Kiyono to praise him, it was better to keep it in his dreams. But if he had to face her during the day and dream of her at night, wouldn't it be too sad? Ha ha ha. Ayako Homa patted Toru Watanabe's shoulder and laughed. "I understand. It's just that you're asking for a scolding. Don't laugh so hard, you won't be able to use your strength in the competition later." Toru Watanabe viciously cursed. "Ah! I almost fell for your trick. So disgusting." Ayako Homa immediately stopped laughing and said with a straight face. "It's evil, right? Disgusting. No, 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 no matter how I think about it, it's evil. Evil hot." Ayako Homa tilted her head and used the cute tone of an idol scolding an otaku to repeat. "Yes, yes, yes, I understand, you just want to scold me." Ayako Homa once again raised her head and revealed a proud smile. At this time, someone called her from afar, so she turned around and responded. "I'll be leaving first." "Alright, what's your school number? I'll go listen to your performance after the competition." "Number 22. The second to last. I'll remember it." "Let's do our best together. If you dare to embarrass the village, I'll go back and tell on you." Ayako Homa finished speaking, waved her hand, and ran towards a group of people wearing brown uniforms. "You guys seem to have a good relationship." Rin Kiyono looked at Ayako Homa, who was talking and laughing in the crowd. "Jealous?" "No. My grandma, no, my mom once told me, if a girl doesn't have it, then she does." Rin Kiyono put down her arm and turned to the people in the music department. "Everyone, pack up, we're going to the rehearsal room." "Yes." Wait, I was just joking. Don't tell me you haven't watched Kamen Knight Armor Combat?" "No." It's over, we can't be friends anymore." "Is that so?" "Of course not. Generally, I won't be friends with people who don't like to play cards, but you're beautiful and honest, so I can turn a blind eye." "Isn't it because my legs are beautiful?" Toru Watanabe glanced around and whispered. "There are so many people here, don't say such things. So you really are friends with me because my legs are beautiful, I'm so disappointed." "I said I'm just studying legs. Studying doesn't equal to liking, understand? Then tell me, do you like legs or not? I think the competition is more important now, what do you think?" Toru Watanabe said worriedly. Rin Kiyono sneered. In the rehearsal room, everyone tuned more carefully than usual, and began the final practice. It was still the beginning of the training. In the past, they thought it was boring and repetitive, but now they couldn't wait to keep practicing, just like Yoshimi Tamamo, who walked into the exam room with a vocabulary book in her hand. Practice time was over, and there was only time left for the competition. In the rehearsal room, the sound of nervous heartbeats could be heard clearly. Rin Kiyono said to Misaki Komatsu, "Director Komatsu, why don't you say a few words to everyone?" "Me?" Misaki Komatsu pointed at herself. Ever since Rin Kiyono became a consultant, her role as the director was only to supervise the training. She didn't even have the right to manage the expenses of the music department. However, she didn't care who had the right to speak. As long as the music department was going to be good, she was fine with anything. "Yeah." Rin Kiyono nodded. "Although I believe that everyone is strong enough to enter the national competition, there are always accidents. This might really be the last competition. As the director, and also a third-year student who is about to retire, it's better for you to wrap things up. If it's possible, I'd like to wrap things up before the national competition. Misaki Komatsu joked, making everyone laugh. Misaki Komatsu took a deep breath. Everyone, until the middle of June. For us, even winning the gold medal in the national competition is hard to believe. Winning the Tokyo University competition is an unattainable dream. She faced everyone. Our Kamigawa High School is famous for its enrollment rate. In the future, all of us will go to first-class universities. For us, the national competition is our goal, and we're working hard for it. I don't know what everyone is thinking, but I don't want to lose to those schools that don't have a higher deviation rate than us. Misaki Komatsu's eyes shone with a stubborn light. This was the stubbornness of a top student. It's fine if you don't work hard. But since you're serious, we can't lose to anyone. Yoshimi Tamamo said. Yes. That's right. Kamigawa High School is number 1. Kamigawa. Do your best. Do your best. The cheers of the Kamikawa Yukibu club members echoed in the rehearsal room. What kind of person you think you are is very important. If the top student in the grade got 10th place, they would be in pain and self-blame. If the second-last student got last place, they would even be proud of themselves and brag about it. Toru Watanabe insisted that he must be an amazing person in the future. The third place in the grade was a hurdle that he had to overcome. The first place in the national competition was where he should be. Whether it was sports or other things, it didn't matter if he didn't work hard. As long as he wanted to, he had to be more outstanding than anyone else. This was what he wanted from himself. Toru Watanabe looked at the black oboe in his hands. His heart was beating rapidly, and he was excited. Originally, the national competition was dispensable to him. But now, he was determined to win the gold medal. Otherwise, how could he be worthy of the adjective amazing? A female staff member pushed open the door and came in. Students of Kanagawa High School, it's your turn. Do your best, whispered Kaoru Hayami, who was sitting next to Toru Watanabe and holding bassoon. I can't wait, Toru Watanabe replied with a smile. Kaoru Hayami was stunned for a moment, then nodded gently. I'm looking forward to Kuin Watanabe's solo. Apart from them, the others also cheered each other on, regardless of their relationship. Kanagawa High School students took their music stands and walked to the stage together. Next, number 22, the representative of Kyoto East, Kamikawa High School Band, will perform for everyone. The designated song is March for Endless Dreams, and the free song is Four Seasons of Prosperity, composed by Akichi Kawa. Conductor, Rin Kiyono. After the announcement, Toru Watanabe was already sitting in his seat. He opened the music score and placed his fingers on the oboe keys. He looked at Rin Kiyono, who was standing in front of him. The lights suddenly dimmed and the stage became brighter, as if a large spotlight had been turned on. The sound of people swallowing their saliva could be heard from all directions. A tense atmosphere enveloped everyone. The expressionless Ching Yi Rin looked at everyone's faces one by one, and his gaze finally stopped on Toru Watanabe. Are you nervous? Didn't I tell you? You can only perform better if you're nervous. Well, I'm looking forward to your performance. I promise you'll be satisfied. Rin Kiyono looked away and raised his arm. Everyone immediately picked up their instruments. The tip of the conductor's baton sank slightly. Everyone's gasps were heard through the horns, creating a huge resonance. As the conductor's baton swung down, the main melody of March for Endless Dreams sounded. The tension disappeared without a trace. The bass horn and bass cello produced a bass sound that even caused the ground to tremble. The brass band moved forward bravely, the woodwind band was delicate and melodious. In the competition between the two, the flute and the clarinet moved freely between them. Then, the soft and beautiful secondary melody of the bass horn smoothly blended into the music. The performance was full of enthusiasm and rushed to the finish line in one breath. The speed became faster and faster, more and more intense. Slowly, everything returned to silence. But the moment Rin Kiyono's conductor's baton stopped, the performance reached the climax. The oboe took over the baton. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe again. Toru Watanabe held the reed he made himself in his mouth. His slender fingers gently slid on the keys. The sweet and melancholy, gripping tone resounded throughout the concert hall. At that moment, everyone in the hall was still. Their brains were violently shocked. In the concert hall, which was dyed golden by the lights, there was only silence. Toru Watanabe and his oboe had woven together the notes with a trace of sadness. It was as if a huge colorful bubble had enveloped the stage. One of the judges on the judging panel couldn't help but bend forward, but he didn't notice it at all. Everyone in the Kamikawa High School band was proud. Compared to last time, it was even more beautiful. The tone of the oboe. This was the strength of our Kanagawa High School's solo performance. When Seino Rin turned around and bowed to the audience with sweat all over his forehead, the audience who had been silent for a long time suddenly woke up and let out a thunderous applause. Everyone in the performance department had a look of joy and confusion on their faces. They hadn't recovered from the previous state. Off the stage, Rin Kiyono said to everyone, "Before the results are announced, you are free to move around. But when the results are announced, everyone must gather in the concert hall." Yes. Toru Watanabe hadn't seen a Yoko Homa yet. He wanted to see Osamu Kunai and Keisuke Saito, who had arrived later. The two of them came face to face with excitement. "You're really good, Watanabe. You played very well. If you can't get the gold medal with this level of skill, then there must be something going on." "Of course," Toru Watanabe said with a smile. Guojing was also brought into Koshien. "I can't not even enter the national competition, right? Hey, do you have a conscience? I haven't walked out of the failure yet," Osamu Kunai wailed. Kamigawa Baseball Club only brought back a handful of soil from the field after a trip to Koshien, the custom of the losers. "Let's go, I'll treat you to a drink." Toru Watanabe patted him on the shoulder. "That's more like it. Can you reimburse the bus fare here?" Keisuke Saito asked for more. "What does it have to do with you?" Chapter 111. Toru Watanabe and the others ran out of sight. The others also went about their own business, going to the bathroom, resting, taking photos, and buying memorabilia. Yoshimi Tamamo walked up to Rin Kiyono with the program schedule. "Kiyono-san, what are you planning to do next?" "I'm going to listen to the performance of number 23. "That's great. I was just about to go. Can we go together?" "Of course." Rin Kiyono nodded. There were many people going to watch the performance, and with the large audience, the front seats were already full. The two of them barely managed to find a seat in the back. As soon as they sat down, number 23's performance began. Next, number 23, the representative of Saitama Prefecture and a student from the Kasuga Kaioi High School's performance department, will perform for everyone. The designated song is the fifth song, a self-selected song. Yoshimi Tamamo whispered to Rin Kiyono, "I think this school won a national gold medal." "Yes, in 2010, but that was the only time. Our real opponent is Tokai University's affiliated high school. They've won 5 times. They're a really strong school." 5 times? Yoshimi Tamamo couldn't believe it. "That's Kanto. Kansai Osaka Prefecture's Litakawa Engineering High School has won a national gold medal for 9 consecutive years." 9 years. Yoshimi Tamamo couldn't imagine what that was, but she quickly said firmly, "If Kiyono-san graduates and becomes a consultant, we can do it too." "Thank you." Rin Kiyono nodded. Although being a consultant is important, the determination of the performer to win a national gold medal is equally important. I have the ability to win a national gold medal for 9 consecutive years, but I can't guarantee that I'll be lucky enough to meet a motivated performer for 9 consecutive years. Listening to Rin Kiyono's analysis, Yoshimi Tamamo looked at the perfect side of her face. She felt that her untrimmed eyebrows were neat and beautiful. It's starting. Ah, yeah. Yoshimi Tamamo came back to her senses. She suddenly felt a little hot as she looked at the stage. On the stage, the sound of the brass was layered and intertwined to create a magnificent melody. The other instruments were no less inferior. The most eye-catching one was the young girl playing the clarinet. The speed at which she moved her fingers was unimaginable, accurately pressing each key. Even those who didn't know anything about music could understand how difficult it was. She's so strong, Yoshimi Tamamo murmured. She is very strong, but what? Is there a problem? Compared to Watanabe, he's all he's talking all day. He's seriously. He of those things. He's very he, and of all he, handsome no one others. Of his he. Looking at Seino Rin's bright smile, Tomomi Tamamo felt uncomfortable. I can do it too. She blurted out subconsciously. Rin Kiyono paused for a moment, then smiled and said, "Good luck." The 12-minute performance gradually came to an end. The conductor waved his baton vigorously, bringing the competition to a close. How's the overall performance? Yoshimi Tamamo asked nervously. There were many schools that could win the gold medal, but only 3 schools could enter the national competition. Kasuga Kai-Oi High School, which had won the gold medal in the national competition, was an opponent that had to be paid attention to. Rin Kiyono, along with the audience, applauded lightly. That was a good performance. If they weren't behind us, they would have won the gold medal. But now we have to see how much the judges were influenced by our performance. Are we that good? Tamamo-san, our goal from the beginning has been to win the gold medal in the national competition. We need to have this kind of ability. Also, some of our classmates seem to have overperformed because they were nervous. Rin Kiyono smiled beautifully when he said the last sentence. The way the results of the Kansai competition were announced was different from the way the Kyoto competition was announced. The results would be announced in a more formal way. Not only would there be a special MC to announce the names, but each school would also send 2 representatives to the stage to officially receive the award and trophy from the judges. All the participating students, consultants, and logistic students of Group B would also be crowded in the concert hall to wait for the results. Therefore, after the competition ended, the audience would consciously leave their seats and give up their seats. As the number of audience members gradually decreased, more and more students wearing various school uniforms appeared. Everyone's face was filled with anticipation and nervousness. Rin Kiyono sent a location in the group, and the people of the Kamikawa High School band gradually gathered. The results are about to be announced. I'm so excited. My hands are shaking. You can touch them and see. Ah. Your hands are so cold. I'm nervous too. Misaki Komatsu received a head count from the chairman of each vocal department and reported to Rin Kiyono. Only Watanabe-san isn't here. The boys also said that they didn't see him. Rin Kiyono sighed helplessly. Let's go look under the shade outside the venue. He's probably drinking soda with a silly look on his face and staring at the girl's legs. Forget it, I'll go. She was about to leave when my Asahi suddenly spoke. Kiyono-san, do you have a good relationship with Watanabe? Rin Kiyono looked back at my Asahi in surprise. This was the first time she had seen her interested in interpersonal relationships. Why do you ask? Rin Kiyono asked. You're very cold and strict to people, but you only scold Watanabe. My Asahi stared at Rin Kiyono without blinking. Is that so? Seino Rin hadn't noticed this before. It's probably because he's always talking nonsense. My Asahi nodded lightly. Rin Kiyono glanced at her, then turned around and walked towards the exit. After she left, Aoi Ichiki whispered, They definitely have something going on. Don't talk nonsense, Yoshimi Tamamo said with dissatisfaction. That's right. Watanabe has a girlfriend, and he definitely has nothing going on with Kiyono-san. Asako Hanada clenched her fists and said with certainty, but her tone sounded like she was trying to convince herself. But didn't you see them bickering before the competition started? I think so too. Hey, isn't that cheating? Watanabe Dross is capable of anything. A girl said with disdain. Then why do you always stare at him? I don't. Don't quibble, you're sitting in front of me, and I know where you're looking. Ah, shut up. While everyone was arguing, the heavy doors of the concert hall were pushed open, and Rin Kiyono and Toru Watanabe walked in. The two beautiful boys walked side by side, one cold and elegant, the other handsome and confident. For some rotten girls, they probably couldn't help but imagine some dirty scenes in their minds. The two of them seemed to be talking, and only when they got closer did the musicians hear what they were saying. Don't forget that you're still wearing the school uniform, and you're representing Kanagawa High School. Don't do anything that will damage the school's reputation. Rin Kiyono's tone was full of warning. I already told you, those two guys were the ones who whistled at the girls' school next door. I was just looking. Toru Watanabe felt wronged. Lies. Yes, I whistled as well, but it was mainly to teach them how to play it better, and I definitely didn't have any intention of molesting anyone. I swear in the name of Wenjing, if I lie, I'll make it quake immediately. You pass. Rin Kiyono glared at him. Aoi Ichiki looked at everyone and whispered proudly, I told you. I feel like it's just a normal warning. Yoshimi Tamamo glanced at the two who were walking over. Alright, that's enough. Misaki Komatsu interrupted the conversation and looked at Myasahi. Tomorrow, classmate, come on stage with me. Okay. Myasahi replied emotionlessly. The two of them represented Kanagawa High School and walked up to the stage, and the representatives of the other schools also went up on stage one after another. Standing in a row with girls of the same age, Myasahi's appearance was obviously taller. Her breasts were swollen, and her legs were long and slender. She was like a crane in a flock of chickens, and attracted a lot of discussion from the audience. Toru Watanabe glanced at Myasahi under the light. No matter what, he couldn't compare the current her with the Mai who was watching 1980K movies under the covers. Although he felt helpless about being harassed, it was also something to be proud of for such a dazzling senior to only show her other side in front of him. Looking to the left, there were shiny trophies and certificates. Just looking at these things from afar made one's heart beat faster. The MC took the list and walked slowly to the microphone. Only the sound of heartbeats could be heard in the concert hall. The folded list slowly unfolded, showing the results of the 12th to 23rd schools, and the names of the 3 schools that advanced to the national competition. Number 12, Ainamao High School, representing Chiba Prefecture, bronze medal. A group of people in black Western uniforms sighed in despair in the distance. At this time, no one cared about them. Everyone was too busy looking after themselves. Toru Watanabe glanced at Rin Kiyono. She had her arms crossed, and there was no expression on her charming face. However, her eyes were fixed on the MC. Noticing his gaze, Rin Kiyono looked over. What are you looking at? She asked with her eyes. Nothing. Toru Watanabe shrugged. Rin Kiyono looked at him with his hands in his pockets and a relaxed expression. She snorted and slightly loosened her clenched fists. Number 13, Komazawa High School, representing Kyoto East, gold medal. Excited cheers came from the front. Everyone looked at them enviously, and then continued to wait for their results. Number 14, Hanagawa Prefecture, representing Hanako Girls High School, gold medal. 2 gold medals in a row. Toru Watanabe looked into the distance. Ayako Homa was grabbing the shoulder of a girl next to her and shaking her vigorously. Then, he jumped up and down and made a victory sign to the other side. The smile on her face was like the morning glory that grew on cow dung in the village. Number 15. The MC didn't care if the audience was happy or sad. He announced the results at the same speed. One by one, it was soon number 21. Number 21, Katakura High School, representing Kyoto East, gold medal. There were already 2 gold medals in Kyoto. The next one was Kanagawa High School, the last high school in Kyoto East. Yoshimi Tamamo clutched the hem of her skirt tightly. The pleated skirt that she cared about so much was already wrinkled. Aoi Ichiki was so nervous that her chest hurt. The sound of her heart beating seemed to come from her throat. The MC still looked businesslike. He glanced at the name list, slowly raised his eyes, and announced into the microphone, Mr. Zhang, number 22, Tokyo Prefecture, representing Kanagawa High School, gold medal. The atmosphere exploded. Great. Great. Gold medal. Senpai. It's gold medal. Don't get excited. Don't get excited. Huff, huff, we still have to go to the national competition. Because of the close distance, Toru Watanabe felt that there were screams and cheers coming from all directions. He glanced at Rin Kiyono. Like him, she didn't feel much. She was still waiting for the MC to announce the winners. On the stage, Misaki Komatsu's lips curled up. Her lips were pursed into a line because she was trying to suppress her smile. Mayasahi beside her was still expressionless. Amidst the noise, he could vaguely hear that on number 23, Saitama Prefecture, Haruhibu Kaiowai High School won the silver medal. After all the results were announced, the venue exploded. For the schools that didn't win, they were naturally disappointed. For the schools that won the gold medal, what came next was the highlight. The atmosphere in the concert hall was even hotter. The schools that won the gold medal had a higher desire for greater glory. Next, we'll announce the schools that can participate in the national competition. The MC adjusted his reading glasses. The first school, number 13, Kyoto East Representative, Komazawa High School. There was an ear-piercing scream. The girls from Komazawa High School hugged each other and the boys pushed each other aggressively. They didn't hide their joy at all. The second school, number 21, Kyoto East Representative, Katakura High School. Amidst the cheers, Toru Watanabe looked at Ayako Homa. Well, the morning glory had withered. She looked like she had stepped on cow dung in elementary school and cried for the whole morning. What did I have for lunch that day? Curry? Toru Watanabe thought heartlessly. It's the last school. The other two schools in Tokyo both entered the national competition. What if we didn't? It's so embarrassing. I'm so nervous, so nervous. Rin Kiyono sighed and said with a smile, It's already us. Huh? Everyone looked at her in confusion. I really have to hand it to you guys. Toru Watanabe said with a look of disdain, We're the only two schools left. We made it to the national competition? Before anyone could react, the MC announced the name of the last school. Finally, the third school, which is also the last place, number 22. The representative of Tokyo, Kamigawa High School. Hooray! Kanto representative. We're the representatives of Kanto. Ah! Screams echoed throughout the concert hall. The MC seemed to be saying something, but the cheers were so loud that it was impossible to hear. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono smiled at him, and he smiled back. Kiyono, we made it to the national competition. Yoshimi Tamamo cheered and threw herself at Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono didn't know what to do and pushed her away. Tamamo, you're too close. It's too hot. Tamamo Otami hugged her without a care and kept shouting, That's great. That's great. Misaki Komatsu and Mayasahi received their trophies and certificates on stage, and the Kanagawa High School audience gave them a round of applause. Misaki Komatsu stood under the lights and wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, trying to look serious. The dazzling Mayasahi was still expressionless. Her skin was pale and translucent, and it seemed a bit unreal. But when Toru Watanabe looked at her, their eyes met, and her face slowly bloomed with a smile and a faint blush. After the award ceremony, everyone took photos as usual and took the bus back to school. The atmosphere was very lively, and everyone talked and laughed. The trophies and certificates were passed around, and the sound of photos never stopped. Hey, I saw someone on the forum saying that Kyoto Orange only won the silver medal in the Kansai competition this year. Kyoto Orange? Kyoto is a high school with a very strong performance department. Most people say that it's a traditional strong school. Because they often wear orange uniforms during performances, they even have the nickname Orange Devil. Orange Devil? They're that good? Then why did they only win the silver medal? Did they change their advisor? I don't know. I don't know much about Kyoto. Rin Kiyono, who was listening to their conversation, explained, Kyoto always has the strength to compete for the national gold medal in marching competitions, but in sitting competitions, they're just average. It's not surprising that they didn't enter the national competition. What? You've already started studying their opponents for the national competition? Toru Watanabe asked. Of course. Rin Kiyono suddenly frowned and looked at Toru Watanabe's teasing eyes. What's with that expression? It's pissing me off. No, it's nothing. Lies. Tell me the truth. I just thought of something funny. It's really nothing. Hey, Kitayoshi? Which school is that? Have you heard of it? No. I've never heard of it. Why? It's one of the Kansai representatives. I heard that they put on a miraculous performance in the competition. There's nothing to be afraid of. Toru Watanabe put down his phone and ended the conversation with a Yako Homa. I heard that their oboe solos are very good. Toru Watanabe chuckled. After meeting Aphrodite on the morning of the second day of training, he was already a master. Wow! A boy stood up with a bang. Their trumpet solos are so beautiful. Let me see. Under the girls' disgusted gazes, all the boys, including Toru Watanabe, gathered around. After the boy enlarged his chest, the boys started to laugh disgustingly. Chapter 112. It was the second day of the Tokyo University Tournament, August 26th. Although they wanted to use the remaining time of summer vacation to continue practicing, as a high school club, they couldn't spend all their time on the tournament. Does anyone have any good suggestions? The head of the blowing department, Misaki Komatsu, stood on the podium in the music room. Why don't we just play the competition song? That's right, we don't have to waste time practicing. I just want to practice, practice, practice. I can understand how you feel, but playing the competition song is not enough. Misaki Komatsu said awkwardly, this year, the school gave us 30 minutes for the blowing department, but the competition song is only 12 minutes. In order to make up for the extra time, we have to practice a new song. A Shino classmate agrees with this as well. Everyone looked to the side of the classroom, where the seats were assigned to the guests. The beautiful girl, Rin Kiyono, who had nothing but beauty and wisdom, sat there quietly. The autumn wind blew the white curtains, and the girl's black hair swayed, outlining a scene that only appeared in teen movies. Facing everyone's gaze, Rin Kiyono nodded. Her nod was much more persuasive than Misaki Komatsu's, and everyone immediately stopped objecting. Then what song should we choose? Yoshimi Tamamo, who played the trombone, asked. It's best to choose a simple song to save time. It's not good to be too simple, right? We are the first team in the history of Kanagawa High School to win the Kanagawa Tokyo University Tournament gold medal and represent Kanagawa in the national tournament. Aren't you a little too proud? Actually, it's okay to choose a simple song. Most of the people who come to listen to our performance don't know how to play, so choosing a popular song might be more popular. That's right, we know how to play the competition song anyway, and the people who really know how to play won't doubt our ability. Then which songs are popular now, and which ones have a suitable score? I'm not sure. During this time, I've been either training or on the way to cram school, so I'm already out of touch with society. Everyone's situation was similar. Just as they were about to ask Google for help, Toru Watanabe said, how about the anime song? For example, the theme song and interlude of Ghost Destroyer Blade, and the ending song of Sword and Saber. These two animations are very famous, and many people have heard of them. You should also be able to find the music version online. I know about Sword and Saber, but what's Ghost Destroyer Blade? It's a new animation that came out recently. I heard that it's super popular. Toru Watanabe heard about it from Osamu Kanai and Keisuke Saito. Recently, he had been busy trying to surpass the level of oboe performance, so he hadn't watched any anime. It's super fire. A boy from the percussion section stood up excitedly, bent down, and used a stick to strike the drum in a posture of drawing a sword. Focus, reach the peak. No one bothered with him. Even Toru Watanabe didn't know what he was doing. After a short silence, the Misaki Komatsu spoke up to ease the boy's awkwardness. Then we've decided to choose a song from a popular anime. We don't have extra time to choose a song. The leaders of each section and the third grade come to the bass section for a meeting and decide on the specific song. The rest of the students can practice on their own. Yes. The above scene was the percussion section preparing for the cultural festival in September. After the morning training, in the human activities section's classroom, Toru Watanabe asked Rin Kiyono, who had just finished eating lunch and was reading a book, "What should we do?" Kamigawa's school rules stipulated that in addition to classes, every formal society had to come up with their own activities during the cultural festival. A questionnaire. A questionnaire. Yes. A questionnaire about your opinion on lying. What's so fun about that? It's boring. Toru Watanabe was dissatisfied. He was full of anticipation for cultural festivals, summer festivals, and fireworks displays in foreign countries. It wasn't easy for him to leave the village. He thought that he could live a two-dimensional campus life, but in the end, he found a girlfriend in the first semester. Although she was beautiful and rich, the first cultural festival he had to face was a boring questionnaire. It wasn't even as fun as the flea market in his previous life. Then what do you want to do? Rin Kiyono didn't raise her head and turned a page of her book. How about a temporary band? You'll be the lead singer, I'll play the guitar, and then we'll pull Mickey up and sing the theme songs of Slam Dunk and Dragon Ball. I don't like standing on stage. The percussion section was forced. You don't have the final say in this matter. Toru Watanabe slammed the table. I declare, in this school festival, our SOS section must do something interesting. SOS section? Wrong, it's the human observation section. The human observation section must do something more interesting. Reason? With our grades, we only have 1 year of high school, which means that we only have 1 year of school festival. Shouldn't we try to make it unforgettable since it's a once-in-a-lifetime event? Every meal you eat is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Don't tell me that you eat what you want to eat every meal. There's a difference between the two. Although every meal is indeed a once-in-a-lifetime event, eating happens a lot, so you can look forward to the next one. Toru Watanabe said. What's the difference? There's only one cultural festival in the first year of high school, but there are cultural festivals in the second year, third year, and university every year. This. Toru Watanabe couldn't argue with her. I don't care, I don't agree with the questionnaire. Rin Kiyono sighed as if she couldn't stand him. You can give me your opinion, and if there's an event that I think is good, I can change it. Band, didn't I just say it? As long as we do this, I dare to swear to Shibuya Station, no, the entire Shinjuku district, that our club won't get first place in the Best Cultural Festival Event poll. Rin Kiyono slammed the hardcover book shut and rolled her eyes at him. Didn't I just say it? I don't like to stand on stage. Then, Kamigawa Miss Beauty Pageant? I can swear to the entire Tokyo that if it's not popular, there will be a rainstorm that can flood the entire city, and the entire Kanto Plain will become. Next. Rin Kiyono interrupted him emotionlessly. Stage play? Romeo and Juliet? I'll be the director, scriptwriter, and miscellaneous. You and Mickey will be the male and female leads. This is incredible. I swear on my hometown, Iwate Prefecture, that no one won't like two beautiful girls whispering sweet nothings to each other. Rin Kiyono didn't immediately object. Instead, she rested her chin on her hand and said with a smile, if you can convince Miki Kujo, I'm fine with it. Let's put this on the record for now. Anything else? Rin Kiyono lost interest and looked at the hardcover book in her hand. Toru Watanabe racked his brain and eliminated the maid cafe and haunted house. Now that things have come to this, we can only rely on the club leader's power. Toru Watanabe gritted his teeth. Let's make a movie. Movie? Can you convince Miki Kujo? It's fine if she doesn't act. There are a total of 86 tools in the band, plus Osamu Kanai and Keisuke Saito. We have more than enough people. Although we don't have the club leader's power, we can definitely make a movie that surpasses the adventures of Chobina Minakuku. Maybe it can be shown in the cinemas in Shinjuku and make a lot of money. The Adventures of Chobina Minakuku? A movie made by high school students? Is it good? Rin Kiyono asked in confusion. It's not a question of whether it's good or not. It's really one of those rare movies that can contain the secrets of the world. Toru Watanabe didn't lie, but he didn't tell the truth either. Is it really that deep? Rin Kiyono fell into deep thought. That's right. Although it hasn't been shown in cinemas, it's really famous among young people. Now that you think about it, isn't it really worth surpassing? We still have to take care of the national competition. I'm afraid we won't have that much time to make a movie. That's nothing. Besides, the members of the band club have to participate in their own class activities. Before the cultural festival ends, there's no chance for us to perform together, and you and I don't have to train. As for the main lead and extras, we can just find someone who's willing to help us out. Rin Kiyono thought about it and nodded in agreement. That's great. That's more like it. That's how a romantic comedy should be. To hell with the old-fashioned questionnaire. I have one condition. 10 is fine. Oh, so polite. Then let's make it 10. Wait. Your answer is too strange. I'm just being polite. Rin Kiyono smiled beautifully and let Toru Watanabe off the hook. My condition is that I'll be the director and screenwriter. You're not going to be the female lead? Not interested. Rin Kiyono took out a brand new notebook from her drawer. Since we've decided to make a movie, the first thing we need to do is confirm the script, actors, and equipment? Nope. First, let's watch The Adventures of Chobina Minakuku. Kiyono. Toru Watanabe took a deep breath. What? I like to talk nonsense, say strange things, and make fun of you. But there's one thing that I hope you can remember. No matter what I say, deep down in my heart, I'll always be your friend. Why are you suddenly saying such chilling words? Rin Kiyono tightly grasped the hem of her pleated skirt, where a pair of snow-white slender legs poked out. Nothing. I thought about it, and actually, making a movie doesn't seem too reliable. I don't think we can make a satisfying movie in a month's time. Of course we can't make it in time for a normal movie, but The Adventures of Chobina Minakuku has more time. Rin Kiyono suddenly reacted. She let go of her skirt and shot a cold look at Toru Watanabe. Kiyono-san, Miss Kiyono, I apologize for all my mistakes. Please continue to make the movie. I've bet my life on this event. Watanabe-san's life is really worthless. Miss Kiyono sneered. I was wrong. Toru Watanabe was already used to it, and his tone was especially insincere. It's decided, the movie's name will be The Adventures of Toru Watanabe. I don't have any superpowers right now. And even if you plagiarized, you should at least make some changes. Toru Watanabe hurriedly said. Rin Kiyono ignored Toru Watanabe's whining and said thoughtfully, the content of the script. A certain existence from another world, for some reason, reincarnated into this world and became a young man named Toru Watanabe. Miss Kiyono. What? Not bad, right? Please don't have an ability that's even more perverted than mine, okay? I'm really hurt by that. I've only said the beginning, I haven't thought about the real development yet. You can wait until the movie comes out, and then worship me. No, I'm now a member of Kiyono's Divine Church. Please give me the power to change the world, and not find ways to deal with girls in school. Then I'll let you become that strange card face and fight. The location will be in Shinjuku? No, since it involves superpowers, there needs to be more locations. This way, funding will become a problem. It seems like there's a need to get sponsors. Rin Kiyono raised her head and looked at Toru Watanabe, who was praying to her with a fruit from the fridge. Watanabe-san, your looks can finally be put to good use. In the afternoon, the Misaki Komatsu handed out the music scores for the cultural festival. They were the opening song of Demon Destroyer's Blade, Red Lotus, the ending song of Sword God's Domain, Unlasting, and the opening song of Attack on Titan, Red Lotus's Arrow. 2 competition songs, 3 popular anime songs, and an introduction and break time were just enough for 30 minutes. For Toru Watanabe, an entire afternoon was more than enough time for him to practice his part. His main focus was on Rin Kiyono's upcoming movie. After all, he was the one who suggested it. Even if the script wasn't Rin Kiyono and Miki Kujo's intimate love story, as he wanted, he still had to take it seriously. Before the end of the school festival, the wind department's training would end at 5 p.m., and it was up to them whether they wanted to continue practicing or not. Rin Kiyono and Toru Watanabe left at 5 p.m. sharp to prepare for the Human Observation Department School Festival. They arrived at the embankment where Toru Watanabe often practiced his oboe. It was summer, so the area was overgrown with weeds and unknown flowers were blooming everywhere. Reeds that were about the same height as Rin Kiyono swayed comfortably in the wind on the other side of the river. The two of them sat on an old bench. "Where did you choose?" Rin Kiyono said with some dissatisfaction. "Isn't this a nice place?" "There are mosquitoes." "It's fine," Toru Watanabe said casually. "They recognize me now, so they won't suck my blood anymore." "I'm talking about me." "That's a problem." "Kiyono-san's blood looks delicious," Toru Watanabe agreed. "How do you know?" "Your legs make people want to bite them when they see them. Don't you have such an impulse when you take a shower and look at yourself in the mirror?" "No, I don't have such an impulse at all." Rin Kiyono stared coldly at Toru Watanabe, who was looking at her legs. "You're lying, aren't you?" "As expected, Kiyono-san, you're very strange. You're different from the average person." "Toru Watanabe, I want you to be treated well in the script," Rin Kiyono said word by word. "Can I refuse to act? What do you think?" "Of course." Rin Kiyono sneered. "I'll make you do your favorite transformation." The location is Shinjuku Station, the intersection in front of Shibuya 109 building. Shinjuku Station, the station with the most traffic in Japan. Shibuya intersection, the intersection with the most traffic in the world. Chapter 113. Beck's Coffee Shop. Second floor. In the corner, a group of university students were playing Monster Hunter online with the Switch. In the seats surrounded by green plants, a couple whispered. Nakajima Miyuki's Riding on the Silver Dragon was playing in the shop. At the counter by the window, a beautiful girl who looked more outstanding than her idol was holding her forehead as if she had a headache, frowning slightly. The handsome boy next to her was drinking coffee awkwardly. There was a cell phone between them, and on the screen was the curtain call of a movie. Acting: Chobina Minakuku, Koizumi Itsuki, Nagato Yuki. In addition to the cast list, what replaced the ending song was a statement from Haruai Suzumiya, acting as the producer, director, original work, costume designer. "Huh? Say it again?" "This work is purely fictional, and the actual characters and groups." "I say, Shu-chan, why do you have to say this? Isn't this natural?" After the movie ended, Toru Watanabe put away his cell phone. "How was it?" he asked. Rin Kiyono, with her eyes closed and her hand on her forehead, let out a burst of despair and murderous sneers. "Don't be discouraged." Toru Watanabe comforted her. "Although we don't have the ability to make people's eyes emit lasers, wild cats speak, gray pigeons turn into white pigeons, and cherry blossoms bloom in autumn, as long as the special effects are enough, it's definitely not a problem to surpass the adventures of Chobina Minakuku. Ah, yes. As long as you have a normal mind, it's definitely not a problem to surpass the adventures of Chobina Minakuku. Toru Watanabe picked up his coffee cup and avoided Rin Kiyono's cold gaze. After relieving his discomfort, he said, "Don't underestimate this movie. It's much more famous than some legitimate movies. Can you guarantee that your movie will be as famous?" "I will." Rin Kiyono's tone made Toru Watanabe feel a strong sense of uneasiness about the future. After leaving the coffee shop, the two of them walked towards the electronic street. "I remember that our school has a film studies department. Can't we just borrow their equipment using the excuse of collaborating with them?" On the way, Toru Watanabe was puzzled. During the free time of practice, the girls from different grades and classes gossiped a lot. This included the fact that the film studies department's Daru Kazanzo and the dance club's Katashirakawa Tamako were in a relationship. Toru Watanabe learned about the existence of the film studies department and the dance stick department. If we collaborate with the film studies department, others will only think that the film studies department is better than us and treat us, the human observation department, as their vassal. Rin Kiyono compared the map on her phone as she searched for electronic stores on both sides of the street. Has the premise already been set that the movie will definitely be excellent? Of course. Who do you think I am? You are the god of the new world. Perhaps Rin Kiyono, who looked like a normal girl, was actually like Haruai Suzumiya, who did not have a normal mind. Would he get an even more powerful system because of this? If possible, please give me something like initial check-in to innate divine body Tao embryo. Please, Lord Kiyono. What are you thinking about standing there like an idiot? Hurry up and follow me. Rin Kiyono put away her phone and walked into a film equipment store. Yes, I'm coming. This was a trendy store decorated with a sense of photography. There were so many pieces of equipment that it looked like they were in a wholesale warehouse. Although the arrangement was messy, it gave people the feeling that they could buy any related equipment they wanted. Considering this point, they might have deliberately arranged it in this way. Then, taking advantage of the customer's mentality, no matter what they wanted to buy, they would directly come to this shop and sell the goods at a premium price. Profiteers. It was as disgusting as selling pork with a red light to prevent people from seeing the freshness of the meat. Although this was what he thought, Toru Watanabe could not suppress his male instinct to be interested in photography equipment after entering the store. He looked left and right with an excited expression. From time to time, he would stop and carefully study the goods on display. Compared to him, Rin Kiyono directly found the shop assistant, told him what kind of movie she wanted to shoot, and asked him to recommend the equipment. Cameras, tripods, stabilizers, pickup microphones for sound, track tracking, push and pull lenses, and a small slide rail with the function of shooting up and down, and so on. After calculating the total amount in her mind, Rin Kiyono touched her chin and muttered to herself, "It's more expensive than I thought. The prize money is not enough." Prize money? What prize money? Toru Watanabe put away the pickup microphones that he used as a selfie stick. Tokyo University won the gold medal in the competition, and the school gave it to 2 clubs. Then what about mine? Don't even think about it. Rin Kiyono rudely interrupted him. Can't we be reasonable? As an oboe soloist, even if I didn't do anything, I still worked hard. Rin Kiyono looked at him with a cold smile. You want to shoot the movie, right? Yes, I want to shoot the movie, but what about the part for the blowing club? Don't tell me you secretly used the money from the blowing club to make a movie for the human observation club? Of course. Hey, that's other people's money. Toru Watanabe hurriedly reminded her. Don't worry. Rin Kiyono smiled confidently. As long as the movie makes a profit, it'll be enough to earn back the money from the students and the people who came to visit the school festival. Kiyono-san, you're now like a criminal who secretly used the company's money in an attempt to make money from gambling. Rin Kiyono glared at Toru Watanabe, and then coughed softly, as if to say, enough is enough for a guy who doesn't know how to talk. Toru Watanabe had always been good at reading the air, so he casually changed the topic. even if you use all the money from the movie, it still won't be enough? Yes. As the producer, can't you just fork out some money yourself? Toru Watanabe suggested. It was almost the end of the month, and the 1 million yen Miki Kujo gave him this month was almost used up. Although he had more than 100 million yen in his bank account, it would be very troublesome to explain to Miki Kujo if he suddenly took out so much money. Haruhi Suzumiya can get sponsorships, but I can't? Rin Kiyono gave Toru Watanabe a sidelong glance, and then went to talk to the staff. Why did she have to compare herself with the two-dimensional female lead? Toru Watanabe thought about how Haruhi Suzumiya got the equipment for The Adventures of Chobina Minakuku. The female lead, Chobina Minakuku, wore a bunny girl costume and tricked it into shooting an advertisement. Could it be Rin Kiyono wants to cosplay as a bunny girl? Incredible, incredible. With such good benefits, it wouldn't be a problem for their movie to be screened in the whole of Japan, let alone Shinjuku. It was only a matter of time before they surpassed The Adventures of Chobina Minakuku. While Toru Watanabe was thinking, he noticed that Rin Kiyono, who was talking to the staff, was pointing at him. Huh? Wait. I won't wear a bunny girl costume. Toru Watanabe hurried over. You came at the right time. Rin Kiyono said to Toru Watanabe and turned to look at the staff. This is the male lead of the movie. The staff looked at Toru Watanabe out of politeness and said to Rin Kiyono, Customer, the male lead of the movie is very handsome, but I'm very sorry, I can't make the decision about sponsorship. Watanabe-san, please smile. Rin Kiyono said. He already said that he can't make the decision, so don't make it difficult for him. Although Toru Watanabe didn't smile to girls other than Miki Kujo and Rin Kiyono, he also wouldn't smile to a male staff. He's lying, Rin Kiyono said in a low voice. It's not a matter of whether he's lying or not, the key is that he's not willing to do it, so don't force him. What do you mean by forcing him? Isn't getting sponsorship when the sponsor takes out all his advantages and tries his best to convince the unwilling sponsor? He's not willing to do it now because he doesn't believe in our value. Kiyono-san, Toru Watanabe said awkwardly, when I said forcing him, I was referring to you forcing me to smile. Rin Kiyono took a deep breath and said as if she had lost, You're the one who suggested making the movie, right? It's me. Before he could finish, Rin Kiyono gave him an intimidating look, forcing him to smile. Toru Watanabe could only surrender. He said to the staff with a bitter smile, Please reconsider, we promise that a lot of people will see this movie. The staff was stunned and looked at him dumbfoundedly. Toru Watanabe felt a chill run down his spine. No wonder he's a profiteer with a red light, even his heart is broken. Chin-Yi Rin, on the other hand, nodded in satisfaction. You are? The staff stuttered and asked. Under Rin Kiyono's gaze, Toru Watanabe could only try his best to maintain a smile and prepare to introduce himself. However, the shop assistant suddenly bowed, startling the two of them. Young Master Watanabe. The staff shouted respectfully. Toru Watanabe recalled his father who was either drinking or working. Was he an abandoned son of a rich family? And he looked exactly like his grandfather? Wait, he reacted and pointed at the bottom of his feet. This is the property of the Kujo family? Yes. Then it's easy. Toru Watanabe turned to Rin Kiyono and said, How about I call Miki and ask her to sponsor us? Kujio Miki would be more than happy to become their investor, and then she would be able to point fingers at Seino Rin and show him the ugly side of capitalism. No need. The staff repeatedly waved his hand. Young Master Watanabe, we can give the equipment the biggest discount, we have enough money. Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono and let her make the decision. Rin Kiyono said to the staff, Thank you. We will help promote your store in the movie. After paying the bill, Rin Kiyono and Toru Watanabe took all kinds of equipment out of the store. Under the sunset, two boys and girls wearing Kanagawa High School uniforms walked on the streets of Shinjuku. Why don't you let the staff send it to the school? Toru Watanabe held a tripod in his right hand and a microphone in his left hand. Because I need to familiarize myself with the equipment now. Rin Kiyono, who was carrying 2 backpacks, pointed a DSLR at the distant bridge under the setting sun. Can't we send it to your house? This is your punishment for deceiving me with Chobina Minakuku. Toru Watanabe, who was in the wrong, could only obediently act as a porter. The temperature at 6 o'clock in the evening at the end of August couldn't be underestimated. Walking on the bridge, Toru Watanabe, who couldn't walk anymore, suggested that they take a break. Rin Kiyono nodded slightly. Her snow-white skin was already covered with a thin layer of sweat. The two of them stood in the middle of the bridge, put the equipment at their feet, and enjoyed the light evening breeze that could only be felt when they calmed down. Rin Kiyono had already figured out how to operate the DSLR, and aimed it at the rumbling tram under the bridge for a while. Looking at the effect, with the thought that this lens might come in handy, she clicked to save it. Then she looked at Toru Watanabe, who was wearing his school uniform. The sunset shone on his handsome face, dyeing it with a faint blush, making him look energetic and dazzling. Rin Kiyono couldn't help but admit that this guy who spouted nonsense was indeed very handsome. She raised the DSLR and recorded Toru Watanabe, who was staring at the tracks in a daze. Hearing the sound of the machine, Toru Watanabe snapped out of his daze. Ignoring the fact that he was being filmed, he asked, "What are you planning to write in the script?" "Didn't I tell you? A person from another world came to this world and became Toru Watanabe." Looking at the saved video, Rin Kiyono nodded to herself. This paragraph could also come in handy. And then, don't tell me that it's a hero saving a damsel in distress, that the location is Imperial Tea Water, and that the girl is actually a demon. Hero saving a damsel in distress. Imperial Tea Water. Demon. Seeing that Rin Kiyono had already started thinking about the plot with these 3 keywords, Toru Watanabe hurriedly stood up straight. "I'm just talking nonsense, don't take it seriously. Hero saving a damsel in distress is too tacky." Rin Kiyono ignored him and muttered to herself, "You came to this world with the ability to obtain rewards for saving a girl. The enemy is a demon who stole the girl's soul, each stronger than the last. As long as you save the girl, you'll be able to obtain stronger abilities as a card. But in the end, you were killed by a cunning demon who turned into a girl in Imperial Tea Water." Toru Watanabe, who was sweating profusely, felt a chill in his heart. "Lord God, please stop talking. Is this script not good?" Rin Kiyono frowned slightly. "It's not that it's not good, but how should I put it, I don't think it will be popular." "Then what kind of script do you think will be popular?" How could Toru Watanabe have a script? But anyway, he couldn't let the cunning demon who turned into a girl kill him in Imperial Tea Water. "How about this?" Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono in front of him. "I'm an employee of a company in this world. My purpose is to take the female lead from this world and change the body of a rich man to prolong his life. But for some reason, this girl has the ability to see through lies. She could tell at a glance that the ridiculously handsome male lead is actually a bad guy." Rin Kiyono, who was fiddling with the DSLR, paused. "But the girl didn't run away." Instead, she took the initiative to tell the male lead that as long as he fulfilled his last 3 wishes, she would take the initiative to leave with him. "What wishes?" Rin Kiyono raised her eyes and looked at Toru Watanabe. "Fall in love?" Rin Kiyono's cherry lips parted slightly in surprise. She looked at Toru Watanabe in disbelief. "Are you sure you want to fall in love with the female lead?" "Can't I?" Toru Watanabe looked at the cute Rin Kiyono in confusion. "What about Miki Kujo?" Hiss. Toru Watanabe sucked in a cold breath. In order to avoid the plot's death, he was almost killed by reality. He quickly corrected himself. "Then, let's not play the love factor. Play baseball, do a part-time job, or even participate in a music competition to spread your music. Anything is fine. Continue." Rin Kiyono looked at him as if this plot was boring. "The male lead is unknowingly moved. During the body replacement surgery, he helps kill the rich man so that the girl can live on as a rich man. What do you think? Rin Kiyono thought about it. The ending is, after the female lead obtains power and wealth, she kills the male lead so as not to expose herself. Why do I have to die? That's so weird. Passing by the bridge, a boy who was pushing his bicycle strenuously looked at Toru Watanabe, who was talking loudly to the beautiful girl, with angry eyes. What does the male lead's death have to do with you? Rin Kiyono looked at him strangely. In any case, the male lead can't die. The plot twist is more interesting. But I'll decide on the specific plot myself. You can use it as a reference. Rin Kiyono thought about the plot in her mind as she looked into the distance. The night breeze blew, and more people came out for a stroll. She suddenly remembered something. She turned around and looked at Toru Watanabe, who was still protesting that the male lead couldn't die. Tomorrow night, the Meiji Shrine Yuan will have the biggest fireworks show in Tokyo. With such good material, I want to shoot it in the movie. But the budget is all gone. The actors are not confirmed, and there's no script. I don't want to die. Tonight, I'll try my best to write a scene around the fireworks show. During the day, I'll choose the actors and the shooting location. Okay, good luck, but don't stay up late. I don't want to die. We'll talk about it later. Rin Kiyono picked up her bag. Let's go back. Toru Watanabe leaned his equipment on his shoulders and walked towards the stairs of the bridge. He nagged, "Remember, I don't want to die. I want to live. I'll think about it." "Really? I'll make sure you don't die too tragically." "Hey, I'm your friend, right? You're so noisy. Can't you be quieter?" By the time they finally arrived at Sano Rin's high-class apartment, Toru Watanabe was already drenched in sweat. "What do you want to drink?" Rin Kiyono opened the refrigerator door and asked. "Wheat tea with ice." "Here." "Thank you." Toru Watanabe took a big gulp. Looking at the satisfied Toru Watanabe, Rin Kiyono couldn't help but laugh. "What are you laughing at? You didn't put an aphrodisiac in the tea, did you?" Toru Watanabe looked at her warily. "Hurry up and drink it. You really put an aphrodisiac in it? What's going on? Do you have thoughts about my body that I keep exercising? Sorry, you're too purposeful, and your methods are too despicable. It's impossible for us. Drink it and leave." Rin Kiyono picked up her notebook and began to think about the script. Chapter 114. August 27th. The end of summer vacation was just around the corner, but the coolness of autumn had yet to arrive. She was probably still competing with potatoes on the Siberian plains. Rin Kiyono climbed up the long slope and stood under the huge oak tree in the school. Only then did she feel slightly cooler. There was no one on the field in the distance. She heard from Toru Watanabe that the baseball club had worked hard all summer and finally obtained the tickets to the special auditorium at Koshien Stadium. She still remembered that when she heard this, she subconsciously asked him what a special auditorium was, and he explained it in a serious manner. He was very trustworthy at critical moments, but his words usually made people angry. It was simply infuriating. After a short rest, she quickened her pace and walked towards the music classroom. She had been thinking about the script last night, so she woke up late today. It was almost time for training. As she approached the school building, she immediately heard the sound of various musical instruments. There were melodies from the competition, and there were also several songs that the club would perform at the cultural festival. She listened carefully, but there was no sound of oboe. How rare! Toru Watanabe's skills were amazingly good, and it was directly proportional to his diligence. Even during rest time, he would continue to practice. What was wrong with him today? Did he wake up late because he was thinking about the script like her? Rin Kiyono's lips curled into a smile. She decided to laugh at him when he came. Her footsteps unconsciously became lighter. In the blink of an eye, she was on the third floor of the club building and in front of the music classroom. She pulled open the heavy soundproof door, and a wave of sound rushed out. Among them was the voice of Toru Watanabe, who she thought was late. "I've decided. From today onwards, I'm Reina's fan, no fan." "Watanabe. How can you do this? I'm Reina's fan number 0. I was the one who collected all the information and videos." "Stop arguing. I'm the one. I've been supporting Reina since she was in her mother's womb." "In her mother's womb?" "Let me tell you, I, Toru Watanabe, was Reina's fan in my previous life." Rin Kiyono was surprised to see the boys in the corner of the classroom arguing over their cell phones instead of training. "Kiyono-san, good morning, good morning." Rin Kiyono looked at Yoshimi Tamamo, who greeted her. She pointed at the boys and asked, "What are they doing?" Yoshimi Tamamo showed a very disdainful expression. "I'm looking at a girl from another school's trumpet department. She's very strong. A trumpet player." Rin Kiyono fell into deep thought. What kind of level could make a performer like Toru Watanabe fight to be a fan? The instrument he was best at was also the trumpet. Although he didn't want to admit it, his level was indeed not as good as Toru Watanabe's. He didn't know how big the gap was between him and this girl. Yes. She's also the soloist of her school's trumpet department. I heard that when she was studying, many high schools gave her a recommendation, but for some reason, she went to Beiyuji High School, which isn't very strong. In the end, Beiyuji entered the national competition this year. Yoshimi Tamamo finished her explanation and clicked her tongue in an unladylike manner. But those scumbags weren't admiring her performance. Then what were they talking about? Rin Kiyono asked curiously. "Breasts." "Breasts?" Rin Kiyono wasn't sure if she heard wrong. Yes, those stinking hooligans also said that they asked that girl for an autograph during the national competition. But they did look quite big. Rin Kiyono's half-asleep head started to feel dizzy. She rubbed her temples out of habit. After a long time, she finally let out the most powerless sigh she had ever let out. After an extremely painful morning, Toru Watanabe washed his whistle with feathers by the sink and washed his face with cold water. Today, Rin Kiyono was like a middle-aged woman who came home from a hard day's work to find her husband and son playing games. Even if there were no problems, she would still find them. After some hesitation, Toru Watanabe decided to go back to the Human Observation Department's activity room for lunch. He couldn't be afraid of her. When he walked into the activity room, Rin Kiyono was eating lunch. Beside her was a book called Master Lens, 100 Advanced Techniques for Filming Blockbusters at a Low Budget. Toru Watanabe glanced at the author, Christopher Kenworth. He had never heard of this name before. So serious? He took some food from the fridge and sat down in his seat. Rin Kiyono ignored him and continued to eat while reading. Toru Watanabe tried to find a topic to talk about. The cultural festival is for enjoyment. It's not like you have to do it or you have to do it well. Isn't it better to be casual with the idea of having no regrets in your youth? It's better than wasting time on studying women's breasts, right, Watanabe? Rin Kiyono teased. What nonsense are you talking about? Toru Watanabe looked at her in confusion. I already said that I specialize in studying legs. Breasts aren't my subject. Oh, is that so? You know better than me, Kiyono, you can see through lies. Then what's the situation with that Lena? Toru Watanabe coughed softly and put on the airs of a single fan. That Lena? I won't allow you to talk about Reina like that. Rin Kiyono's current expression was one of disdain or disdain. In any case, under her gaze, Toru Watanabe gave up on his Reina. He stuck the straw into the milk carton and silently enjoyed his lunch. Damn it, Reina. Even if my body is suppressed by the enemy, I'm still your fan in my heart. Toru Watanabe took a big bite of his fried bread. He stared at Rin Kiyono and chewed vigorously. His nonsense could only be said in front of Rin Kiyono, who could see through lies. She knew that he was joking. If he said it in front of Miki Kujo, Rei something, Lena something. Toru Watanabe didn't even know that this big-breasted girl was called Reina Takasaka. After lunch, Toru Watanabe asked about the script. Have you thought of a scene? Rin Kiyono nodded. I want to shoot a scene where the male lead is fighting with a firework monster in the sky. After the firework monster turns into the most beautiful firework, the male lead is seen by the female lead in the crowd and they look at each other. Now that it's come to this, it doesn't matter if I'm discovered or not. But let me say this first, I don't know how to fly. Toru Watanabe's answer was very characteristic of him spouting nonsense. Rin Kiyono didn't dislike it, but it didn't stop her from looking at him like he was an idiot. Of course I know this kind of thing. She put away the finished lunchbox. Find a building closest to the outer garden of the shrine and film the fight scene on the roof. Finally, the building will be photoshopped. If it's as simple as you say, I don't understand the purpose of wires. Rin Kiyono also realized that this was not feasible, but it was her first time shooting a movie, and she wanted to try everything. Let's film the scene first. If it's not good during editing, can't we just use it? Anyway, let's collect enough material first. That makes sense. Who are you going to choose as the female lead? Tamomo-san. She should agree to help. Toru Watanabe showed a constipated expression. Kiyono-san. Yes. Can I tell you what I think? Yes. Why do we have to make a movie with superpowers? We don't have enough budget to do special effects, right? What do you suggest? If we don't have money, we can make a low-budget movie. For example, we can use Love Letter as a reference and change the setting from winter to summer. Tell me more about it. Rin Kiyono, who liked love letter novels, was interested. In the last firework festival of summer, the male lead who was about to go on a date sacrificed himself to save a child who fell into the river. The female lead didn't wait for the male lead, and only after the firework festival ended did she know that her boyfriend was dead. After attending the funeral, the female lead met the male lead's mother for the first time. The female lead's mother accidentally mentioned that the male lead had a childhood sweetheart who looked like the female lead, but they were separated when they were young. The male lead likes his childhood sweetheart. You can leave this part blank, as you like. The male lead only needs to show his face at the beginning, and at most occasionally appear in the female lead's memories, such as the school corridor, the library, etc. These places are free. Rin Kiyono thought for a while and nodded approvingly. I didn't expect that a brain full of boobs and legs would have the qualities to be a screenwriter. No, I'm just good at survival, Toru Watanabe said honestly. Then I'll have to trouble you tonight. What? Jump into the river to save someone. Rin Kiyono rolled her eyes at him. To be honest, I'm very confident in swimming, you should know that, right? Ignoring Rin Kiyono's murderous gaze, Toru Watanabe continued, how about changing it to a heart attack? This way we don't need to find a child actor. After all, water dramas are still risky for us, and adults don't feel at ease. You think it's a Korean drama? A heart attack? Change it to being stabbed to death with a knife. I have a phobia about being in a bucket, but I'm an actor, not an idol. For the sake of acting, it's only right to overcome my own weaknesses. Can you not make yourself sound so great? Rin Kiyono said helplessly. And in an interview not long ago, didn't you say that you want to be an idol like Takuya Kimura? If you call Takuya Kimura an idol, my dear mother will kill you, I'm not lying. Takuya Kimura can be anything. Rin Kiyono stood up. This afternoon, the wind department is free to practice. We'll go to Meiji Shrine to shoot, and find a good place for you to die. The male lead is the male lead, I'm me. Please understand this. Huh? Didn't I tell you? I've decided on the male lead's name to be Toru Watanabe. No. Toru Watanabe replied. Ah, I thought Watanabe-san could read my eyes and understand my thoughts without speaking. You did it on purpose, didn't you? Rin Kiyono flipped her long hair behind her back and proudly mocked. Yes, what can you do? Toru Watanabe decided not to argue with a woman. I'll find a way to convince Mickey before today's fireworks show. I don't want any other women. I don't hate men who are loyal to one woman. Rin Kiyono nodded. I'm the most loyal man in the world, don't fall in love with me. But, Rin Kiyono cutely tilted her head, Watanabe-san, why do I remember that you don't like Kujo? This girl. Toru Watanabe decided to expel her as a woman, and he would definitely deal with her in the future if he had the chance. The two agreed to go home first and change into casual clothes. Toru Watanabe still had to put the oboe back, and then they would meet downstairs of Rin Kiyono's apartment, which was closer to the station. Before that, Toru Watanabe first took the tram to Miki Kujo's company. Without a work desk card, he thought that he would have to say who he was, and then wait for the front desk to inform Miki Kujo herself before he could enter. But as soon as he walked to the door, the security guard immediately bowed to him and called him Young Master Watanabe. Toru Watanabe, who wasn't used to it, kept communicating with different people, and smoothly got into the elevator to the top floor. This wasn't good. Yesterday, even an ordinary employee could recognize him, so Miki Kujo must have already told his identity to all the employees of Kujo's company. It was also possible that other people took the initiative to obtain information about their future boss, so that it would be easier to flatter him or not offend him. It was all because of his damn charm. If he was interviewed again, Toru Watanabe would definitely say, "My happiest days were when my charm was only 8 points, and I worked every day, thinking about how to save money." The elevator reached Miki Kujo's office on the 38th floor, but he couldn't find her, so Toru Watanabe went up to the 39th floor. At a glance, the luxurious top floor was empty. Toru Watanabe looked around and finally found Miki Kujo taking an afternoon nap in the bedroom. She didn't even change her clothes and just lay on the bed. Her sleeping face was like a begonia flower that was about to bloom at night. "Miki, Miki." Toru Watanabe called out softly. Kujio Miyoshi slowly opened her eyes. Her eyelids were half closed as she said in a lazy tone, "Sit up straight." "Huh?" Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe without saying a word. Toru Watanabe could only surrender and sit down obediently. "Where did you go yesterday?" Miki Kujo, who was lying on the bed like a sleeping beauty, looked like she was about to fall asleep. "School. I was preparing for the national competition and the cultural festival. Miki, when the national competition comes, I'll give you a big surprise," Toru Watanabe said with relish, but Miki Kujo kept sneering at him. Toru Watanabe couldn't continue. "What's wrong with me? You seem to have a good relationship with Rin Kiyono?" Miki Kujo said carelessly. "There's no such thing. Slander." Jojo sneered. Toru Watanabe suddenly remembered, "You're not talking about buying camera equipment, are you? That's for the cultural festival. Miki, you know that every club has to come up with something. We're planning to make a movie." "Is that really the case?" "I swear to Chiyoda that if I'm lying, there will be a storm." "Don't be so glib." Miki Kujo scolded. "It's true. I came here this time to talk about the movie and convince you to be my female lead." Miki Kujo's slender white right hand tapped on the white bedding. "Female lead. Rin Kiyono wants to let another girl be the female lead. How could I agree to something like that? It doesn't matter if it's a movie or not, my only female lead is you." Miki Kujo opened her eyes and glanced at Toru Watanabe. "At least you have a conscience." In a situation where one would die without a conscience, most people would have a conscience, right? Toru Watanabe saw Miki Kujo yawn sleepily and said, "You rest first. I'll talk to you about the details in the afternoon." With that, he got up and walked out of the bedroom. "Come back." Toru Watanabe turned around and saw Miki Kujo, who had already closed her eyes. She patted the empty space on the bed. "Lie down here." "Huh?" Toru Watanabe was stunned. "What's wrong? You don't want to? That's what you said." "Yes, I said it. Come on." Toru Watanabe climbed onto the bed and lay down on the spot that belonged to him. He stared at the ceiling for a while, then turned around and hugged Miki Kujo in his arms. "Don't move." Miki Kujo patted him. Toru Watanabe withdrew his hand. After a while, he reached out his hand again. Miki Kujo didn't open her eyes and hid his hand. After a while, Toru Watanabe reached out his hand again. This time, Miki Kujo didn't hit him. Instead, she leaned into his arms. "You're only allowed to sleep, okay? That's what I think. Take your hand away." Chapter 115. After taking a nap at Miki Kujo's place, Toru Watanabe took a shower, changed into casual clothes, and walked towards Rin Kiyono's apartment. When he was almost there, he sent a message online to inform her that he could go downstairs. "Just come up," Rin Kiyono replied. "Huh? Can I?" A female student inviting a male student to her house, and it's a private apartment. Is that what you mean? I can do that, right? Even though I took a shower, don't I have to go to the pharmacy first? Without thinking, Toru Watanabe sent the message. When he saw that the message was read, he instantly regretted it. At the age of 16, he hugged Miki Kujo and slept for an entire afternoon. Now his mind is full of dirty thoughts, and his words are too casual. Even though he likes to joke, he won't casually say these things to a girl, not to mention that the girl is Rin Kiyono, whom he respects. Just as Toru Watanabe was preparing himself for a scolding. No need. Looking at the simple reply on his phone, he was stunned. That. Kiyono-san, you're no need. Do you not understand what I'm saying, or do you mean I don't have to go to the pharmacy? Toru Watanabe carefully considered his words, and carefully typed the message. He was hesitating. If it's the latter, should I go up or not? I'm talking about going upstairs. Do you think I'm going to listen to your boring, dirty jokes? Hurry up and move the equipment. Woman, you've successfully attracted my attention. Toru Watanabe tidied up, and he didn't know if he was regretful or relieved. He walked into the apartment and took the elevator to Rin Kiyono's room. As soon as he walked in, he saw her impatient and elegant face. "Why are you only here now?" Rin Kiyono said. "The elevator is so fast, what can I do? You can't make me run down the stairs, right? I mean, why does it take so long to go home and change clothes? To take a shower." Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe without saying anything. "All right. I'll be honest. I even took a nap. You've made me wait here stupidly for 2 hours. Are you ready to commit seppuku as an apology?" Kiyono classmate, please pay attention to your expression and tone. It's too murderous. In order not to commit seppuku, Toru Watanabe revealed the only serious thing he had done. "Actually, I went to find Miki and persuaded her to play the female lead. She will meet us later. It's the truth, but taking an afternoon nap and taking a bath isn't a lie either." Rin Kiyono had no intention of letting him off the hook. "Didn't you take a shower too? What right do you have to criticize me?" Toru Watanabe could smell the fresh scent of Seino Rin's shampoo. "I only went to take a shower when I couldn't find you. I had to put on my clothes twice. And your nature is..." "Kiyono classmate, this dress is so beautiful. But how should I put it? With your figure and appearance, you look good no matter what you wear." Rin Kiyono, who was interrupted, looked down at the clothes she had just changed into. It was an apricot-colored sleeveless shirt and a water blue knee-length skirt. Rin Kiyono opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but Toru Watanabe beat her to it. "But it's troublesome. You're so beautiful, and there will be a lot of people watching the fireworks tonight. I'll be very worried about you. Don't leave my side when the time comes." Rin Kiyono opened her mouth, but swallowed her words. She looked at the tripod, the microphone, and the small slide rail. Then, she glanced at Toru Watanabe. "Go and get it." "Yes, Minister." Rin Kiyono, who had waited for 2 hours, finally calmed down. The two of them took their respective equipment and left the apartment. The tram rattled as it moved forward. On the main line from Shiya Station to Meiji Shrine Waiuan, the scenery of Shinjuku gradually passed by. Toru Watanabe, who was hugging the tripod and the microphone like a soldier hugging a rifle, was constantly dealing with the curious gazes of the other people in the carriage. Next to him, there was a child who couldn't walk yet. He raised his big face and widened his bright round eyes. He reached out to take the microphone. His mother, who was holding the child, was wiping the saliva from his mouth. "I think we need to hire a chauffeur," Toru Watanabe suddenly said with a serious face. "No need." Rin Kiyono was using her phone to search for Meiji Shrine Yuan to see if she could find any information about a suitable filming location. "After all, I'm the male lead, not a chauffeur. When filming, someone has to hold the microphone, right?" Toru Watanabe just wanted to find a chauffeur. He already had a person in mind. Osamu Kanai or Keisuke Saito would be chosen. "Do you think I didn't think of that? You don't have any lines in this scene, so you won't need the microphone. Then why did you ask me to bring it out? You don't have any lines, but the female lead does. When the time comes, you'll have to do a part-time chauffeur." Rin Kiyono seriously looked at the pictures of the apricot trees on her phone and said bluntly, "If you always think about dirty things all day long, no matter how smart you are, you'll be eliminated by society, Watanabe-san. You've wronged me, Kiyono-san. I have 7 hours of sleep every day, not including the afternoon nap. That is to say, at least 7 hours. I don't think about those things." Rin Kiyono raised her head and looked at him indifferently. After a brief conversation, the two fell into silence again. The child on the side gave up taking the microphone and reached for the long pole. Toru Watanabe subconsciously hugged the equipment tighter. Damn it, he didn't even hug Miki Kujo so tightly. Next stop, Shinono-cho, Shinono-cho. The arrival announcement came from the loudspeaker. The two got off the tram amidst the crying of the child who was patted by his mother. Outside the station were all modern high-rise buildings. It was hard to imagine that there would be a beautiful garden in front of them. "Watanabe-san, do you want to die here?" Rin Kiyono pointed at the zebra crossing in front of them. "I already said that the one who died was the male lead. Not me. Also, if someone died on the zebra crossing at the intersection, will the fireworks festival really be held as usual?" "Well, you have a point. Then we'll have to find a remote place to let you die. I already said that it wasn't me," Toru Watanabe said helplessly. He decided that when the movie was finished, no matter what, he would have Rin Kiyono personally record a sentence. An actor is an actor, and has nothing to do with any real person. It's purely a coincidence that the name is the same. After walking under the sun for a short while, they saw a blue sign with the words, Meiji Shrine Yuan, written on it. When they walked in, they immediately saw a sign with the time of the evening's fireworks festival, sponsors, and sightseeing spots. There were many people inside, and there were even police officers commanding the order. It was still early for the fireworks festival. Groups of families and couples were taking photos under the shrine's ginkgo path and buying food from the newly set up stalls. The summer ginkgo trees were green, and tall and sturdy stood side by side on both sides of the path. The ginkgo trees were luxuriant, and the sunlight couldn't penetrate the top of the trees. Only fragments of light fell on the ground. "There are too many people." Rin Kiyono frowned slightly, and the mottled sunlight greedily kissed her perfect side profile. Looking directly at this painting didn't do him any good. Toru Watanabe looked away from her face and said, "Of course. After all, it's the last fireworks festival of summer. Let's look around and see if we can find the path with the least people. It doesn't matter if we can't see the fireworks. In short, we'll let you die without anyone caring." What kind of person is Toru Watanabe? His brain is so abnormal that he would run to a deserted path. Rin Kiyono listened to Toru Watanabe's words, which sounded like he was talking to himself, but he was actually ridiculing her. She couldn't help but smile. She said with a faint smile, "Although I've never been in a relationship, I know that couples in the honeymoon period will desperately try to avoid the crowd and deliberately go to remote places, right?" Toru Watanabe looked at her in surprise. "What's wrong?" Rin Kiyono looked back at him with a puzzled expression. "You deliberately suggested to go to a deserted path. Do you want to create the atmosphere of a couple with me? I admit that when I'm alone with you, I occasionally have unhealthy thoughts. But as a professional actress, I have enough manners. I won't film with. Rin Kiyono took the DSLR and turned around to walk to a deserted place. Hey, don't go. I'm not done yet. Wait, I'm not familiar with this place. No, I said that I'll protect you, Kiyono-san. Department head. The two of them walked and stopped for a while before finally arriving at a narrow path covered in fallen leaves. There was not a single person in sight. Rin Kiyono looked around and nodded with satisfaction. This way, Watanabe-san. She waved her hand lightly. I told you not to leave my side. I have to protect you. Toru Watanabe, who was carrying equipment on his shoulders, walked over from a distance. I'll be careful. Rin Kiyono nodded. Hurry up and put your things away. I'm going to try different shooting angles. By the way, do you have Miki Kujo's photos? Photos? Yeah. No. What do you need them for? They're useful. Ask her for one now. Hurry up. How troublesome. Toru Watanabe put away the tripod and long pole microphone and sent a message to Miki Kujo on his cell phone. Give me a photo of you. Question mark. Question mark. It's useful. Did you get it? Rin Kiyono adjusted the parameters of the DSLR. No. Just as he finished speaking, his cell phone rang and a photo popped up on the screen. The deserted path fell into silence. She was probably sitting on a chair. Her legs were slender and straight, and one of her black socks was taken off. Her fingernails, which were usually hidden in the socks, were neatly trimmed and beautiful. Her legs, which were impossible to move, were sticking out from under the skirt that was about to slide down. But the skirt would not really slide down, because it was a photo. Even if there was a follow-up, it would not be visible in the photo. Toru Watanabe slowly looked at Rin Kiyono. She was pinching the bridge of her beautiful nose, and her closed eyes seemed to be in pain. While Rin Kiyono was not paying attention, Toru Watanabe quickly clicked on Save and Delete Record, and then sent a voice message to Miki Kujo. What are you doing in broad daylight? I don't want this kind of photo. I want a normal photo. Rin Kiyono let out a long sigh and slowly opened her beautiful eyes, as if she had seen the ugliest side of human nature. She muttered to herself, "This is unbelievable." She shook her head lightly as she spoke, as if she was deleting the leg photo from her memory. Aha! Toru Watanabe coughed lightly. I'm a leg researcher. In order to support my career, it's reasonable for my girlfriend to occasionally give me experimental materials, right? Rin Kiyono pressed down on her skirt, turned around slightly, and looked at him warily. Even Toru Watanabe was a little embarrassed. If this went on, he would become a pervert in Rin Kiyono's eyes. Just as he was trying to think of a way to save his image, Kujio Miki sent him a picture of her normal life with the caption, "You have so many requests. Aren't you satisfied with socks and a picture of your legs?" The text of the Toru Watanabe quickly deleted the text. With this interruption, he was too lazy to save his image. After all, distance tests a horse's strength, and time reveals a person's heart. After getting along with him for a long time, Rin Kiyono would realize that he was indeed a righteous person. The photo is almost here. What's next, director? Stand here and look at the photo with your best expression. You must have a faint trace of longing. Rin Kiyono loosened her grip on her skirt and pointed at a spot in the shade where a ray of sunlight shone. Looking at your current girlfriend's photo, you're actually thinking of your childhood sweetheart? Toru Watanabe's gaze swept past Rin Kiyono's swaying skirt, quickly glanced at her legs, and then retracted his gaze. Looks like you still have your last shred of rationality. Rin Kiyono nodded in satisfaction. What do you take me for? A pervert? Wait, let's not talk about the fact that it was for research. She sent it to me without permission. My girlfriend's legs are also perverted? That doesn't make sense. Where were you looking at just now? Rin Kiyono, who had a warm expression, suddenly sneered. So you've noticed. Is it nice? Toru Watanabe had never faced such a difficult multiple-choice question before. But when he thought about how Rin Kiyono could see through his lies, there was nothing to be troubled about. It's nice. He nodded from the bottom of his heart. His heart was pure, and he definitely wasn't acting like a hooligan. Heh. Rin Kiyono sneered. From now on, you must absolutely follow my instructions. If I'm not satisfied, the traffic police on the way here will take you away. You actually used your body to seduce me? That's despicable. Toru Watanabe couldn't count how many of his weaknesses were in Rin Kiyono's hands. Toru Watanabe, with the mentality of an actress who had her indecent photo taken, began shooting the first act of the movie that was about to be broadcast at the cultural festival under the guidance of the evil director Rin Kiyono. Following the instructions, he deliberately let the sun shine on his face. He looked down at the photo in his hand. It was a photo of Miki Kujo's daily life. Expression. Toru Watanabe pondered for a moment. He missed his hometown in Iwate Prefecture. He thought of his parents who braved the wind to harvest their crops so that they wouldn't be blown away by the strong wind. His eyes became slightly moist as he missed her. He zoomed in on the photo until only his face was visible. He stared blankly at the girl. 5 seconds later, he suddenly shrunk the photo and put away his phone. He put his hands in his pockets and closed his eyes, allowing the sun to shine on his face. Rin Kiyono recorded this scene with the camera. In the Meiji Shrine Waiuan, amidst the noise of people's brains, the expressionless handsome boy wearing a white shirt and sports shoes had his hair messed up by the wind. Chapter 116. What do you think? Toru Watanabe calmed himself down and asked curiously. Rin Kiyono watched it again and nodded. As expected of Watanabe, who is full of lies. His acting skills are worthy of praise. I feel like you're scolding me. Are you dissatisfied with anything? No, not at all. I'm very happy that my acting skills are praised. Rin Kiyono rolled her eyes at Toru Watanabe, who was speaking insincerely, and clicked on the video she had just taken. Watch it. Toru Watanabe moved his head closer and was about to watch when something unexpected happened. The wind in the forest blew Rin Kiyono's hair, giving him a very comfortable fragrance. Toru Watanabe's eyes couldn't help but move to the side of the girl's face. Her skin was white, and her bright eyes were focused. Her long black hair, which had just been washed, was swaying gently without any weight. A minute of the scene quickly passed. What do you think? Rin Kiyono raised her head and asked softly, but just happened to meet Toru Watanabe's gaze. The two of them were very close. Her own hair, which was blown by the wind, occasionally slid over Toru Watanabe's tight muscles and beautiful slender arms. Are you sure you want to use this shot? Toru Watanabe stood up straight and took 2 steps away from the girl. The noise of the distant shrine stadium faintly returned to their ears. Is there a problem? Rin Kiyono brushed away the long hair that had fallen over her shoulder and unconsciously peeked at Toru Watanabe's arm. Looking at it up close, his arm was actually so thick, and his whole body looked thin. Compared to making a movie, I suddenly feel that making a photo album might be able to make a lot of money. Rin Kiyono was stunned for a moment. After calming down, she said in a bad mood, Please, there's a limit to your narcissism, Mr. Toru Watanabe. This is confidence, just like how you think that everyone likes you, Miss Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono sneered and turned to leave. Where are you going? Toru Watanabe smugly looked at her back as she walked away. Being able to gain the upper hand in a conversation with Rin Kiyono gave him a great sense of accomplishment. He didn't know if other people felt the same way, but at least he felt the same way. Police. Wait. Toru Watanabe hurriedly chased after him, but after taking 2 steps, he remembered that there was a tripod and a long pole microphone at the side, so he ran back to get it. By the time he caught up with Rin Kiyono, she had already walked out of the dark and secluded path. Kiyono-san, Kiyono-sama, Minister, Just one sentence. Just one sentence. Rin Kiyono stood in place and looked at him. Just one sentence. Say it. Then 2 sentences. Before Toru Watanabe could finish his words, Rin Kiyono continued to walk away without looking back. Wrong, wrong, really wrong. I'm narcissistic, I'm talking nonsense, I'm not taking photos anymore. Miki Kujo said domineering words that were very suitable for her image. Since you agreed to act, please follow the script. That depends on the script. Miki Kujo sneered. Rin Kiyono's face was cold as she took out the script wrapped in a transparent book cover from her woven bag and handed it to Miki Kujo. Miki Kujo casually glanced at it and chuckled, plagiarism. She had never read Love Letter before, but when they were taking an afternoon nap on the same bed, Toru Watanabe, who didn't sleep, told her about the origin of the script. This is a cultural festival for high school students. The band section plays music that costs money, the drama section rehearses a popular play, and the human observation section adapts a popular movie. Is there a problem, Kujo-san? Rin Kiyono listed out a series of examples and looked directly at Miki Kujo's eyes. No problem. Miki Kujo returned the script to Rin Kiyono. It's just a very ordinary adaptation. If you don't want to act, you can leave now. I'll find someone else for the female lead. Rin Kiyono put the script back into the woven bag. Toru Watanabe silently retracted his hand that was about to pick up the script. He hadn't read it yet. Forget it, resolving the conflict in front of him was more important than reading the script. Toru Watanabe walked behind Miki Kujo and put his hands on her shoulders, forcing her to sit down. Miki, no matter what the script is, you have to be the female lead. Are you ordering me? As soon as she sat down, Miki Kujo habitually crossed her long legs and crossed her arms in the posture of a queen. How is that possible? Toru Watanabe rubbed her shoulders. I don't want to play the male and female lead with other girls. Can you just fulfill one of my wishes and play the female lead? Miki Kujo closed her eyes and felt Toru Watanabe's clumsy massage technique. Rin Kiyono frowned and looked embarrassed. Toru Watanabe gave her a look. This is for the sake of the crew, don't make trouble. Men who are full of lies are disgusting. Toru Watanabe didn't know whether it was translated like that, but Rin Kiyono looked at him with disgust and anger, so the general meaning was not far from the truth. Rin Kiyono didn't know that if the female lead was someone else, the male lead, who had so many secrets that he was afraid of the police, would have a miserable ending. He didn't know either. Toru Watanabe shook Miki Kujo's soft and graceful body. Promise me this one time, okay? Miki Kujo's small and delicate nose made a helpless sound. I really owed you in my previous life. Great. Toru Watanabe gave Rin Kiyono a smug look. But in return, he got an even more disdainful look. It was too difficult to be the male lead, really. Toru Watanabe suddenly envied Asu, who was doing chores. Pointing the camera at the female lead in maid costume or bunny girl costume, that was what a proper male lead should do. But that was because Haruai Suzumiya was the director, and he wouldn't allow his favorite Asu to act with other girls. Wait. Toru Watanabe looked at the tripod, the long pole microphone, and the drink he just bought beside his chair. Apart from being the male lead, wasn't he also doing chores? He also took into account the money to buy the equipment, write the script, choose the female lead, the investor, the scriptwriter, and the assistant director. I really want to go back to the 26th of August, which was yesterday, and stab the guy who looked down on the questionnaire and suggested making a movie to death with a fruit knife without blood. Toru Watanabe stared blankly at the cloud. After convincing Miki Kujo, Rin Kiyono seized the time to talk to her about the script before dark. The female lead and the male lead agreed to meet at the ticket gate of the Jingu Stadium. At first, they were looking forward to it, but they didn't show up. Toru Watanabe found that when director Kiyono and Miki Kujo were talking, she could distinguish the difference between the female lead and Miki Kujo. In other words, Rin Kiyono deliberately confused him with the male lead, Toru Watanabe, who was about to die. After the two finished talking about the script, Toru Watanabe asked, When will the scene where the male lead dies be filmed? Are you going to be the thief? How did the male lead die in Love Letter? Toru Watanabe was puzzled by Rin Kiyono's question, but he answered, he died in an avalanche while climbing a mountain on a snowy day. Has the director finished filming? You mean, I'm already dead? You're not hopeless. Rin Kiyono nodded with satisfaction. No, the male lead is already dead. When he thought that Rin Kiyono might have the same ability as Haruai Suzumiya, Toru Watanabe was particularly insistent on this point. He was still young. Even if he was never lucky, as long as he was faithful, the worst ending would be to spend the rest of his life with a beautiful and rich Kujo. He didn't want to die so early. Unfortunately, Rin Kiyono didn't want to argue with him about this point. She looked at the sky and said, "It's about time. Let's go." Rin Kiyono took the SLR, put the oolong tea into the woven bag on her shoulder, and walked towards the entrance of the Jingu Stadium. Miki Kujo was empty-handed, but her footsteps were light. Toru Watanabe drank up the soda in one breath and followed her with the tripod and the microphone. At first, he thought that the filming would be troublesome. For example, it was Miki Kujo's first time filming a movie and she had to take into account the gazes of the people around her. In the end, the progress was faster than expected. She stood there with a natural expression, occasionally looking at Rin Kiyono's camera. She didn't make any extra movements, only occasionally tidying up her clothes. Just this alone made her feel like a girl who was looking forward to a date. Most of the people around her were saying things like, "This girl is super cute. Is she an artist? Are you filming a movie?" And looking at her. Toru Watanabe really admired the two ladies. He couldn't do it as if there was no one around. Holding the microphone, he was even more embarrassed than Rin Kiyono, who was using the camera to stop Miki Kujo from taking pictures from all angles, and Miki Kujo, who was surrounded the most. This is also cultivation that doesn't care about the gazes of the world. Toru Watanabe kept hypnotizing himself. An hour before the start of the fireworks event, there would be a series of performances in the Shrine Square. The organizers had invited all the famous artists. Watanabe, you must record the sound of the announcements. It's the best proof that the movie shows the passage of time, understand? Rin Kiyono said. Got it. At this time, the two ladies were already resting. Only Toru Watanabe was holding the microphone, waiting for the announcement to start. After recording the announcements, he had to record the noise of the artists' performances. The music gradually faded, and the fireworks show began to announce. A few muffled sounds came from afar, and more than a dozen sparks rushed into the night sky like shooting stars. After a short period of dimming, they exploded with a bang, and the bright red fireworks reflected the outer court of Meiji Shrine in a bright red color. The fireworks event had officially begun. Amidst the exclamations of the fireworks, Kujio Miyoshi anxiously called the male lead, but no matter how many times she called, no one answered. Cut. Rin Kiyono stopped. After checking the video, she said, "It's done. I'll be back before the last set of shots." Miki Kujo was ready to go in and watch the fireworks to pass the time. Okay. I'll stay here and shoot a few sets of fireworks from the female lead's point of view. Rin Kiyono was filming seriously under the gorgeous fireworks. Miki Kujo turned around and walked toward the organizers who were waiting in the distance. Just as Toru Watanabe was wondering if it would be okay if he didn't follow her, Miki Kujo suddenly turned around and looked at him with an emotionless gaze. Toru Watanabe walked over obediently. The organizer immediately tried to take the tripod and microphone from him, but he refused. The two of them didn't buy tickets, but they went directly to the VIP seats of the Jingu Stadium. The luxurious equipment and the angle that overlooked the whole stadium. While the fireworks seemed to explode above their heads, there was also a sense of nobility standing above the heads of the audience. The best SS seats that could be bought in the outside world couldn't be compared to here. Accompanied by the sound of cannonballs, clusters of flame arrows rushed into the sky. When they reached a certain height, they suddenly exploded and turned into colorful garlands. Then, The colorful fireworks fell from the night sky like a waterfall. Before the audience could finish their exclamations, more and more gorgeous fireworks exploded. 10,000 fireworks in an endless stream. The whole of Shinjuku became a city that never slept. The sky and earth were pale. Chapter 117. This fireworks event, which was called the last fireworks of summer, lasted from 7:30 to 8:30, and lasted for a whole hour. The fireworks were beautiful, but it was boring to watch for more than 10 minutes. After half an hour, it was almost time to leave. Toru Watanabe looked around and whispered to Miki Kujo to get something to eat. "I'll go with you." Miki Kujo, who was also bored, stood up. At this time, the sound of the fireworks was endless. Her face was illuminated by the fireworks, and her skirt and long hair swayed in the night wind. Toru Watanabe felt like he was really seeing a night fairy. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe, who was staring at her, with a smile in her eyes, and offered her hand. Toru Watanabe, who came back to his senses, smiled and held her hand. Seeing the two leave, the organizer, who was hiding somewhere, suddenly appeared. After knowing that the two were going to eat, he took the initiative to introduce the ingredients prepared for today's VIP guests. This is tuna sushi, just shipped from Tottori Prefecture this morning. This is sea urchin from Hokkaido Rima. Toru Watanabe never took the initiative to spend money to eat raw food, but this was a rare opportunity. He tasted each dish according to the organizer's introduction. Miki Kujo was going to send the long-winded organizer away, but seeing that Toru Watanabe was listening with great interest, she didn't say anything. As expected of the VIP area, even the place where they ate could overlook the entire Kamiya Stadium. The stadium had a rule that no one could enter if they left midway, so there were people selling snacks and beer in the aisles of the chairs. The bustling and crowded scene and the empty VIP area around the two of them formed two different worlds. As Toru Watanabe ate his sushi, he wondered if he would be among these people if he had not met Miki Kujo. Or would he be outside the Jingu Stadium with Rin Kiyono, holding the tripod and the long microphone? But no matter which one it was impossible for them to be in this VIP area where there are security guards, unrelated personnel are prohibited from barging in, and exquisite food is placed casually on the long table to eat as they please. By the time they finished their meal, it was close to 8:20 p.m. The two of them left Shungong Stadium to meet up with Rin Kiyono. Rin Kiyono was sitting on a bench at the entrance of Jingong Stadium with a box of fried noodles in her hand. She looked up at the fireworks in the sky, occasionally thinking of using her chopsticks to put a mouthful of fried noodles covered in sauce into her mouth. Toru Watanabe followed her line of sight and looked at the fireworks. Most of them were blocked by the buildings of the Shingong Stadium. The view here was very bad, and it was better to go further. For example, the bench where the two of them sat in the afternoon, or by the ginkgo tree, they could see the complete fireworks. There was no charge there. Many citizens brought plastic mats and sat in the square like a picnic, eating the food they brought while enjoying the fireworks. It might be even more comfortable than paying for the tickets. Why don't we go in together? We can also watch the fireworks in there and eat for free. Toru Watanabe looked away. Rin Kiyono put down the fried noodles in her hand and took out a tissue to slowly wipe her mouth. Do you think I'm Watanabe-san? I've been in that kind of place for a long time. The fried noodles outside are delicious. Her indifferent tone was full of hostility. Toru Watanabe was baffled. He wondered if her fried noodles were mixed with the smoke from the fireworks. The night wind was indeed full of the smell of smoke. You're the one who suggested to stay here. What's happening now? Before Toru Watanabe could finish his words, the host's excited voice came from the radio. Sorry for the long wait. It's finally the end. Please enjoy the last passion of summer. Rapid fire number 5 fireworks. Continuous fire. Start. Before they could react to what the host was saying, the rockets rose in an instant. Huge waterfalls of fireworks appeared in the night sky one after another, dazzling everyone. Toru Watanabe looked at the feast of light and sound in surprise. He had never seen such amazing fireworks. Seino Rin and Mika Kujio, who were standing to the side, were also quietly watching this scene. Their delicate, snow-white faces were clearly reflected in the light. Rin Kiyono suddenly came back to her senses. Movie. I almost forgot. Toru Watanabe quickly got to work. Fortunately, although it was rapid fire, it wasn't a submachine gun. Rin Kiyono managed to get a shot of Miki Kujo's uneasiness and disappointment before the 80 fireworks were finished. Toru Watanabe put away the long pole microphone. Will we finish shooting the scene of the female lead returning home today? No need. Rin Kiyono said. The estimated shooting time of I Wait Prefecture to Tokyo, 400 kilometers, is 25 minutes. Some unimportant scenes, such as you being stabbed to death, the female lead returning home, and even your funeral, will not be filmed. I won't argue with you about other things. What is I Wait Prefecture to Tokyo, 400 kilometers? The name of the movie, you don't know? Rin Kiyono's acting of surprise was terrible, but it was very cute. How would I know? I thought you would be able to guess it since you're so smart. Rin Kiyono said matter-of-factly. What kind of person would be able to guess the name of the movie that the director came up with at the last minute? Toru Watanabe really wanted to worship him as his teacher. Also, why was this male lead so coincidental that he also came from I Wait Prefecture? He turned to Miki Kujo and said, I can understand why you hate this girl so much. I hate her now too. Miki Kujo glanced at Rin Kiyono with a smile. Rin Kiyono glared at Toru Watanabe and said, We've finished filming, let's go. The three of them left Meiji Shrine Yuan before the audience came out of the stadium and the road became crowded. When they were outside, Miki Kujo got into the luxury car that had been waiting for them and sped away on the road that was clearly under traffic control. It's good to be rich. Toru Watanabe hugged the tripod and the long pole microphone and said to the car's taillights in the distance. Aren't you also very rich now? I am rich, but in fact, the happiest time I had in Tokyo was when I held up a billboard under the sun for a few hours, worked every day, and thought about how to save money. Toru Watanabe said the words that he had always wanted to say with satisfaction. His impression of Rin Kiyono increased by 3 points. On the contrary, Rin Kiyono revealed a cruel smile. I was wrong. Toru Watanabe knew when to stop. The girl sighed helplessly and walked towards the station. She avoided the audience at the stadium, but couldn't avoid the crowd at the station, so the platform was very crowded. Most of the people seemed to have come back from the fireworks event. Not only were they wearing bathrobes, but they also had cushions and umbrellas. The surrounding men all looked at Rin Kiyono intentionally or unintentionally, which made her frown. Toru Watanabe was also looked at by the girls. As a boy, although he couldn't empathize with Rin Kiyono, he could understand her feelings. Do you want to take a taxi? He suggested. Taking a taxi in Japan was ridiculously expensive, but it wasn't a problem for the two of them. Rin Kiyono looked at the platform full of people. They were trapped in the crowd and couldn't move. Do you think we can still get out? Toru Watanabe noticed the situation between the two of them and nodded in agreement. Can you hold on? No. Toru Watanabe was very surprised. He thought that Rin Kiyono would say something like, it doesn't matter whether we can hold on or not, but in this situation, we must hold on. Then what about you? He asked. Rin Kiyono pondered for a while and finally said helplessly, there's no other way. I can only accept your suggestion. Take a taxi? But we can't get out? Are you an idiot, Watanabe-san? Sorry, you've always been thinking about girls' breasts and legs. You're already an idiot, right? Can you lower your voice? Toru Watanabe really couldn't do anything about this guy. Rin Kiyono noticed the strange looks around her and her face turned red. She looked down at her and Toru Watanabe's shoes and whispered, It's all because you're too stupid. I'm sorry for being so stupid. It's okay. Rin Kiyono raised her head and said with shining eyes, My heart is as high as the mountains. Forgive your stupidity and thank me. That's absolutely. Right, that's what she's always wanted to say. Toru Watanabe promised to the people in front of him. If not, he would make the next tram derail and crash into the platform he was on. He would also kill this guy next to him. Miss Kiyono, who coexists with beauty and wisdom, please tell me, what is your proposal? Rin Kiyono answered with a little satisfaction on her face, You're so beautiful, and there will be many people watching the fireworks tonight. I'll be very worried about you, so don't leave my side at that time. Watanabe-san, that's what you said, right? Toru Watanabe looked at the ceiling of the station. I wasn't me yesterday. You really are an idiot. It's this afternoon. Is that the point? Rin Kiyono was slightly displeased. Besides lying, you're going to go back on your words? Of course not. Didn't the Great Gatsby say that everyone thinks they have at least one basic virtue? Mine is to keep my promises. Rin Kiyono rubbed her temples with a headache. She didn't tell Toru Watanabe that last time he said his basic virtue was honesty. In short, before leaving Shibuya Station, I'll allow you to protect me like a knight protecting a princess. Kiyono-san, you can use the tone of a reward to ask for a favor. You're really amazing. You don't want to? No, I'm happy to. But, what about the salary? Salary? Of course, what do you think? Do you know what it means for someone with my status to be a guardian? If nothing unexpected happens, your future will be at least above everyone else. The reason why I say, at least, is because I haven't found any other races yet. Guardian. Rin Kiyono looked helplessly at Toru Watanabe. I find it hard to understand what you're talking about sometimes. Is the difference between Iwate Prefecture and Tokyo that big? Kiyono-san, I have a question for you. Yes. Do you know the manga, Guan Gong Shi? Toru Watanabe asked. I know Guan Gong Shi, it should be referring to Guan Yu from the Three Kingdoms, but I've never heard of this manga. What's wrong with it? Its full name is about not understanding what your husband is saying. The story goes something like this. The husband uses his rich otaku experience and knowledge to play with his wife who doesn't understand him at all to play with. Toru Watanabe shut his mouth. Rin Kiyono blinked her beautiful, cold eyes. Enough with the dirty jokes. If there's a third time today, I was wrong. Toru Watanabe said it so bluntly that Rin Kiyono's cold face couldn't help but reveal a smile, then immediately turned cold and glared at him. At this time, they heard a clanking sound. The two of them turned around at the same time. The tram slid into the platform with the announcement and slowly stopped in front of them. Although there weren't many reports about trams, they never stopped. In order to avoid any accidents, Toru Watanabe squeezed Rin Kiyono into the crowded carriage and made her stand in the corner. He took out the tripod and microphone that he had been holding in his arms, completely surrounding Rin Seino in the middle. Thank you. Rin Kiyono blushed slightly and looked away. It's nothing. It's the male lead's duty to protect the director. As soon as Toru Watanabe started talking nonsense, Rin Kiyono immediately got rid of her shyness and looked up at him. Wait a minute, the male lead's duty is to protect the female lead. Also, even if Watanabe-san fawns over me now, the ending of you being killed won't change. I don't want to fawn over you for those things. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe suspiciously. His neck and collarbone peeked out from his well-made shirt, firm and well-defined. Also, there was a slight smile on his face, and the gaze that was looking straight at them. Kiyono-san. Toru Watanabe and Rin Kiyono looked in the direction of the voice. In the distance, Yoshimi Tamamo was saying, "Excuse me," and "Excuse me," as she squeezed her way over. Behind her were Mayasahi, Asako Hanada, and Aoya Chiki. The Meiji Shrine Yuen's Fireworks Festival was one of the 3 major fireworks festivals in Tokyo. More than 1 million people participated in the festival. Kanagawa High School Shibuya Station was not far from here, so Toru Watanabe was not surprised to meet his classmates. However, when did Yoshimi Tamamo star in Aoya Chiki's love story? Yoshimi Tamamo walked over and inserted herself between the two of them without hesitation. Her face was facing Rin Kiyono, and the back of her head was facing Toru Watanabe. Kiyono-san, what a coincidence. Did you go to watch the fireworks too? Well, no, not really. Rin Kiyono could not deal with people who were so enthusiastic. Then what are you doing here? Filming a movie. Filming a movie? Yoshimi Tamamo raised her voice without any civility. You can call it Aoi Mei. I was a model in middle school for a while, and I even helped the film studies department shoot a promotional video. Really? That's amazing. I originally wanted to invite Tamamo-san, but it just started today, so I didn't have time to inform you. Really? That's great. What movie? Tell me, Aoi Mei. Toru Watanabe had had enough. Yoshimi Tamamo spoke as she moved her body. Her simple and inexplicably beautiful high ponytail swung back and forth, making Toru Watanabe want to sneeze. The car was full of people, and there was almost no space left. He wanted to retreat, but there was no place to do so. Ponytail attack? Do you think you're Otori? Toru Watanabe sniffed twice to suppress his desire to sneeze. At the same time, he smelled a familiar fragrance. Senior Mai came to his side. Toru Watanabe did not look sideways, trying to pretend that he did not see her. However, from the corner of his eyes, he could clearly see that senior sister Lina was staring at him intently. Not only that, but as she looked at him, her snow-white and delicate skin gradually turned red. Then, the excited senior Mai secretly reached out to Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe slowly turned his head and looked into senior Mai's eyes. She did not hide her flushed cheeks. He looked at her lips. At this moment, he heard the words that those sweet lips had once said to him. The time was the morning of the second day of the musical ensemble training. The location was outside the forest. Che, look, this is my hand. Really, don't do this. Toru Watanabe looked at Senior Mai with such eyes. But Senior Mai's clear eyes were watery and blocked by tears for some reason. She did not seem to understand what he meant at all. Toru Watanabe looked at Asako Hanada and Aoi Ichiki, hoping that the two of them could make Senior Mai stop before it was too late. But they were holding their phones and seemed to be selecting the photos that they had just taken to send to their INS. You. Yoshimi Tamamo suddenly turned her head. Her eyes widened behind her contact lenses. Toru Watanabe's eyes were caught off guard by her ponytail. He blinked his eyes desperately and tried to control his tears. Why did you suddenly turn around? He suppressed the anger in his heart. Yoshimi Tamamo glared at him with eyes full of anger. She did not say a word. What's wrong, Tamamo? Rin Kiyono asked softly. No, it's nothing. Yoshimi Tamamo gave Toru Watanabe a warning glare. Then, she continued to watch the video with Rin Kiyono. I plan to put this at the end of the movie. It's clearly at the beginning of the story. Listening to Rin Kiyono's explanation, Yoshimi Tamamo recalled what had just happened. Just now, Toru Watanabe had touched her but with his hand. And very cunningly, he had deliberately used the back of his hand. A lot of hooligans in the news used this kind of excuse to get caught. They could also use the excuse of, I only accidentally touched you with the back of my hand. Who do you think you are? Who wants to harass you? To quibble. Toru Watanabe, who was about to cry, and Yoshimi Tamamo, whose butt had been touched again, cursed each other in their minds. Fortunately, the tram ride from Shinano to Shiya Station only took 2 minutes. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.